Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello.
Sean Bell.
Hello.
James Farley.
Hello.
And our very special guest, this is mental, Phil Spencer. He's not here, but imagine that.
That was
Come
great,
on, Phil.
wasn't
Answer my calls, please. Just
the guy
answer
from
my calls.
the property shows on TV, daytime TV.
Yeah, him, yeah.
Fine. Anyone called Phil Spencer so I can legitimately introduce them to the show. That would be great. Been a fucking weird week, innit? But we'll get through. We're all here. And I'd like to open the show by thanking our Patreon producers.
Is that
we are all here.
the comforting news? None of us have died.
Well, some people still there are people out there that think we do this in the same room. But,
that's true.
I was going to make a joke, sadly this week we are going to have to do it remotely.
I want to avoid being in the same room as anyway, so this just gives me an excuse. Anyway, right, this week we would like to thank Alan M. Nash, Aaron Patrick and Anthony Oakenson for going full Nels. You went full Nels, and that's why you get your name read out at the start of the show. Your first names all begin with A. That's weird, isn't it? If you would like to support us on Patreon, go to patreon.com/TCGS. We put out a bonus show this week. That went out this week. We've got plans for our bonus show. So if you want to hear those plans, they're in motion. Sign up at the $5 tier and you will get that bonus. It is the $5 tier, right?
It is, yeah.
Good. Yeah. Sign up for that. And get involved with something we're working on. But for those of you that aren't on our Patreon and still want to check out the bonus shows, Matt, what have you done this week? What have you done?
I've released all our content for free.
Well, yeah. I mean, not this month's show, but there's reasons for that. But every bonus podcast we've put out up until this month has been put on YouTube, just as a little, if you like. I mean, it's
something to do, isn't
bad, isn't it? No, I mean, it is. People have been really appreciative of it, and that's really, really cool. But it is kind of like, cheer yourself up by listening to more of us. There's a little bit of ego behind it, but we wouldn't be there if there was no ego. We would not be there.
We would not be there. But yeah, we just thought we'd put it out, because people are obviously working from home or self-isolating or just, bored or upset or ill or whatever it is. We thought, let's just put it out there. And for those of you who aren't a patron already, there's some stuff on us to listen to. So yeah, but it's all on YouTube. It's not on any podcast feed. So just search for TCGS on YouTube and you'll be able to listen to episodes, from May 2019 to February 2020. And there's a
stuff
few
on
things
there.
in there.
Some cracking stuff. Sean talking about losing his virginity is on there.
Or did I? Question mark.
Do
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly talked about it, but what actually happened is up for debate.
No. I would have given you a slap on the back and said, yeah, you did it, mate. Don't worry about it. You passed the test. Right, okay. Should we get into the feedback from last week's show?
Absolutely. So, I mean, it feels like ages since we last recorded. I think because...
It does and it doesn't. Like, I was thinking last night, oh my God, shit, we've got to do this all again. You know what I mean? It seems to have come around really quick because so much has happened. But at the same time, because so much has happened, when you think of it another way, it does feel like it was ages ago.
I mean, I know we only recorded last week, but I'm looking at feedback now. I'm like, did this happen in the last few days? I know it did because I only put it in the doc yesterday, but everything's happened in every possible way. I'm still trying to get my head around it. Anyway, we're going to start Andrew Gushwin with E3 being cancelled. Again, that feels like forever ago.
Yeah,
that was probably only
really
a week or two ago.
Do you remember last week when we were all freaking out about wwhether Rezzed was going ahead or not?
Is it going ahead or is it?
Was that last week?
It's not. No. That is. Oh, find out in the news. Is that better, James? Is that better?
I was exactly. You just.
Are you wait? Are you trying to imply that nothing happens until you announce it?
Well, yeah. I mean,
we were talking about egos earlier, but that's off the charts, mate.
This is what I don't like about it when you start when Matt sometimes brings stuff up in the feedback as well, and it ruins what I've got planned. It's irritating.
Right? Okay, it's not all about you. It's not all about you.
But you've already seen the news that I've got prepared, so why bring that up now? you know?
Because we were talking... Sorry.
But James, it's not your news. It's the news.
It's the news.
For our live show.
It's my news, Matt.
Could you imagine if the news at 10 just busted in on the one show and said, no. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about this now. Go to your little segment about twigs or whatever. Go to that. Go on.
Do not mention MP's expenses. Andrew Gushman, with E3 being cancelled and probably not returning again, debatable possibly, will Dave not go offline that week? So obviously this year, Dave, was your year to miss E3. E3's now... Hang on.
I mean, it depends, doesn't it? We'll get onto this in the news, but it depends on the timings of what is actually still happening, right?
Yeah, because things are still going to happen, aren't they? So,
yeah, if they're going to end up like weeks apart, that's probably maybe a little bit unfair. But
Matt, before we continue, Matt, you shouted "hang on" in a really odd way there.
Because I'm just
What's
thinking,
up?
there's no mention about E3 being cancelled in the news, but that has happened since we last podded, didn't it, James?
it has, yeah. But I was going to focus on a more sort of domestic event and then also sort of segue into E3. But you've ruined that as well now, Matt. Thanks.
I was just like, I wasn't sure what happened. Okay, so you are going to cover the fact E3 is cancelled. Okay, well, I'm sorry for ruining...
After the domestic event.
Yeah.
So let's all look forward to that domestic event and then the E3 cancellation news.
So Dave, I mean, obviously we can't talk about it because it's in the news, but say, for example, hypothetically, if E3 were cancelled, what would you be doing this year?
We've already discussed this, haven't we? For the major announcements, I avoid them, and then we do a special pod afterwards.
Yeah.
And if they're likely to be spread out, if they are spread out, if they're within like 1 or 2 days of each other, then yeah, I'll miss them both. I'll come off the internet for a couple of days, and then we'll do it after. But if they're really spread out, then I'll just come off for the day individually, and then we'll do the podcast straight after.
Or you could have the month off the internet for that.
Here's the thing, right? Again, this is what I don't get. Why has this turned into a challenge to be off the internet? That's not what this was for. The whole point is to avoid the news that's announced at these conferences. That was the whole...
But I did it that way because I knew something would seep in, like whether it's a WhatsApp message or BBC website. Yeah, right. It's stupid.
But you're aren't you?
In James's case, an advert on Reddit because he thought Reddit was safe.
That's the problem. You shouldn't have gone. You went second, right? Did you go second?
Oh, I can't remember now.
Well, I think that's the problem. You set the ber, and we should never have let you set the bar because it was 100% Matt Murray from then on.
Yeah, that's the best way to be, isn't it?
That's all he knows.
It's the most dangerous way to be. But...
yeah, definitely. Rolling around on your fucking electronic skateboard, of course it is.
It's electric, Granda, not electronic.
Sorry, grandson. It's not about missing the internet; it's about missing the news. But I will certainly be taking precautions, and I'm quite looking forward to it. Actually, it should be quite fun.
Dave might be like the Big Brother house in Germany at the moment. Everything might be resolved while he's off, and then he's just like, and he's locked up in his own bedroom because he thinks he can't get out.
I mean, we're all going to watch the announcement video, right? Because that must... Can you imagine just hearing about it after being in a Big Brother house for
But it's exactly like the
Dead Set.
Yeah, Dead Set is crazy, yeah.
Except for the zombies and that. But like, it is...
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking. Go on.
Yeah, it's absolutely mental. Last week, obviously, Dave came to us and said, "Look, lads, do any of you actually listen to my recommendations?" Obviously, we're all quite polite on the show, but obviously the answer is no. Alex79 UK, read Dave's recommendations. I was excited for both Future Unfolding and Gardens Between, and didn't like either of them really. However, Gossip Mongers is absolutely brilliant. Kurt Lewin, I take David Turner's recommendations seriously. I play Future Unfolding, which wasn't his best, but I did get on with Yakuza Island, which was probably my favourite game of 2017, and I'm now a subscriber to Gossip Mongers, which is the funniest podcast I've ever heard. I mean, that's a dig. That's a dig.
Yeah. Thanks, Kurt. Hey, was Yakuza Island Express 2017?
Oh, fuck knows, man.
Surely not.
Shit.
I thought that was
I mean, it's 2018. 2018, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't know.
Embarrass himself. Go on.
Yeah, that's it. So, recommendations. I mean, I do apologise. I haven't still listened to Gossip Mongers. I know I will do. But...
I'll tell you what, I did straight after we finished recording last week, I did so. And I went to bed, and I was lying there, and I woke up Chen, and she was really annoyed because I was just laughing. because like the bed shaking, from the laughter. And
God, it's bad for that. It is bad for that. Like there's certain podcasts get you, and that is one of them. And it's to the point where I was doing a washing up, and Joe is in the other room, just going, "What the fuck are you doing in there?" Because I am just like belly laughing while scrubbing the plates.
But also, I played some of it to Chen, and she was just disgusted like by the whole thing. But then now I'm enjoying just like winding her up because I just keep occasionally just go up to her and just saying, "Of course it's true." Like that.
Matt, you liked Future Unfolding, so why am I getting all the flack for that one?
I can only read the tweets as they come in. I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I think it's because you were the chief advocate in the same way that like Matt was like that about Outer Wilds. You were like this about what's it called?
Outer Wilds is one of the all-time great games.
Go listen back to it. I think Matt was into it just as much as I.
Yeah,
I stand by it. I completely stand by it. I thought that was a wonderful game. I was really surprised by the reactions. Go fuck yourself, everyone.
Okay. Alex79 UK, I think this is him anyway. I love Max Payne 3, but I can't see a fourth one coming up for the same reason we never got any single-player DLC for GTA 5 or Red Dead Redemption 2. Rockstar seem more interested in making money off online content at the moment.
Yeah, but they brought
very true.
Red Dead 2 out.
What's that say?
They brought it
out, yeah. But
that was a massive success for them. So I wouldn't write off the whole Rockstar single-player experiences. I really wouldn't. I think
I would argue Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably that was already they probably started working on that during GTA 5 before online properly blew up. And at that point, they'd already started working it.
So your argument then is no more single player experiences from Rockstar?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just playing devil's advocate with Alex here. I mean, I think obviously they will bring out single player games, but I can't see it being Max Payne. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Dave.
Never know. You never know. I mean, I'm not aching for it. Well, you're flip-flopping in this conversation so much. What side are you on?
Just keep it interesting, I don't know. I'm on both sides.
It's on the side of entertainment, Dave.
Yeah, whatever side you're not on, I'm on that one.
Well, that's not fun, is it?
It's bloody fun. It's great fun. Well, look, it's been a long old week, and it's only Tuesday. And I've got 4 beers here.
I don't know where that little pearl of wisdom come from, but
and I've got 4 beers here, and I'm going to enjoy them. All right.
You got 4 beers there, really?
I mean, they're only the little ones, but
okay.
David Hodgkins, Picross chat. 3D Picross Round 2 on the 3DS is possibly the best Picross game ever made. It's utterly, stupidly brilliant. Highly recommended. A bunch of people actually also tweeted us saying thank you / not thank you for recommending that Konami Picross game because it's utterly addictive. I have also started playing it, and it's fun. I haven't played it as much as I'd like to, but I fully get it, and it's very, very Sudoku, isn't it?
It is, Sudoku. But it's as someone who sucks at numbers stuff, it's still very doable. It's more logic than numbers, isn't it?
I prefer the numbers. I really do.
Would I like it?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, because you got well into threes, which again is to look at it. It's like, oh fucking hell, is that maths? Well, no, not really. It's more about sort of positioning and how you sort of planning ahead, how you can move things around and stuff. It's similar appeal, I would say. Yeah,
I do like maths. No, I'm not down on maths.
What a nerd.
All
right, go
on. Fucking hell, is that maths? Paul Rudgy, evening all. One thing from last week's pod and an update. One, you need a public health warning when introducing people to Picross. It's crack cocaine. Also, secondly, as you may have seen, the London Marathon is off. So I can stand down from. So you can stand down from doing 3-hour shows for the rest of March. But he's still planning on doing a 26.2 mile run on April 26th. So this will now be a special one-off ceremonial TCGS run. and then he's got ordered a suitable T-shirt for the event.
Nice.
And what would the group's decision be for the design?
Can you not just go on the shop and just buy one?
Yeah, we've got a view on that. Is he hinting at a free shirt? Because I'll be honest with you, we regretted about the free that hat because I thought that we had hats, but it turns out we didn't.
Yeah, so have to get one specially made.
Matt, have you got any free T-shirts left? Or
no.
He didn't have any free T-shirts in the first place.
Could we do?
I paid for them previously.
Could we do a design? I'm doing that thing. I'm saying, could we? I'm looking at Matt. Could we do a design that's like so it's like a racetrack, but it's the 4 colours of the logo, like sort of swooping round.
We had one. We had one like that, didn't we? And Matt took it off sale
because
he didn't design it.
No, it's still on sale, isn't it?
Oh, the one with the neon sort of
yeah. But he's not racing in a car, Sean.
No, I mean a racetrack as in the ones that people run on in the Olympics and that.
Oh, those, yeah, I guess you could. Anyway, I mean, basically, we'll discuss it off air. John H.
That's a no.
John H. This is regarding James's streaming game. Alien Isolation is a tremendous game. It's a great game for a live stream. The atmosphere is incredibly tense. Graphics and sound design are tremendous. Please consider it.
I'll consider it.
Okay.
And say no.
That's a no then. If you want to tweet, that's even feedback. If you want to tweet, it's at ComputerGamePod on Twitter, or you can email podcast@thecomputergameshow.com.
I suppose we better get to the news. I mean, I don't see any point in doing it, seeing as we know everything now. But
we do.
I mean, that's all ruined.
I've been dreading this as well because it's like I'll be honest.
That's not like you.
Well, no, because I do this on Sunday usually. Like I prepare it all on Sunday and then pray that nothing happens on Monday, so that then it's like.
So now we're recording on the Tuesday. You're like, fucking it, all this news is going to be all out of date.
I mean, since Monday, like normally we record on Monday, and there's been 2 days now for things to happen. And like
Sony have announced that they won't be at E3 this year. Go on.
Okay, so anyway, I mean, the first thing that I did think would be worth talking about is Rezzed being postponed because of the coronavirus. So it's been postponed to a date in the summer, but they've not specified when that's going to be just yet.
I saw that. Oh my god! Like when they announced it, I looked at their replies, and there was already people going, "Well, can you give us a date?" It's like, are you being serious?
Like, yeah, like
no.
Obviously, they'll give the date as soon as they can, which is clearly not now. So yeah.
So Reed Pop have said, having monitored the situation around COVID-19 constantly over the last few weeks and following.
What?
Oh, X.
Sorry.
He's got the gigs.
James, this is serious.
No, we'll have to cut this. Sorry, because
I'm not cutting it, James.
No, you have to. Sorry,
no,
I'm
James,
sorry.
James, this podcast is going at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. I do not have time to cut things tonight.
You've got to cut this because this is about Sean's joke that he made the other day about somebody we know.
Stop talking because I'm not editing this.
Okay.
Thanks for dropping me in it, James.
I'm not editing this, James.
Now everyone's going to be like, what did Sean say that couldn't be repeated on the podcast? I can't even remember what it was.
Neither can I, actually.
That's why I said we can't. You can't.
You say so much offensive shit, Sean. Like
it
could be any one of your comments.
Yeah. Like Waterford.
You can't include this. Sorry. What do you want me to do? I mean,
just do the news.
Are we going to cut this or not?
No, James. How many times? James, this show is live now in 12 hours' time, and we barely started recording it, haven't started editing, and haven't slept yet.
Okay. Having monitored the situation around COVID-19... I'm sorry.
I should point out as well, listeners, that this is like this every week. You just never hear it. James just constantly laughs at the news
There's
like
a lot
this.
of editing.
And then goes, edit it out, Matt.
Yeah. Matt, I've just made more work for you. Cheers.
Yeah. After this pod, I'm probably going to play a game or do whatever I want, but go on, just add it to the edit sheet, why not?
Having monitored the situation around COVID-19 constantly over these last few weeks and following many hours of conversation internally and with our partners, we have taken the incredibly difficult decision to move EGX Rezzed to summer 2020 with date and announcement forthcoming. We did everything that we could to try and run the event as planned, but don't laugh at that, please. But ultimately,
we're not laughing at it.
Who are you talking to?
Come on, I heard someone make a laugh there at that bit.
No, we did not make a laugh, James.
Did anyone make a laugh? Anyone make a laugh?
Come on, somebody went like that, and it was
show title. Making a laugh. Go on.
Did you make a laugh?
We did everything.
Okay, James, you're live now. This isn't being edited. Let's go.
We did everything that we could to try and run the event as planned, but ultimately maintaining social distancing is neither feasible at nor in the spirit of the interactive and community nature of Rezzed. It is the community that makes Rezzed so special, and it is our duty to make sure that your safety comes first. Yeah, so the tickets are still going to be valid for the next date when it's been announced. And it seems that the sister show is the MCM Birmingham is still going ahead though, but it's going to be postponed to 27th and 28th of June. But it's still at the NEC.
Okay, right, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I mean, what I find crazy about this whole thing is that this happened on Friday. The announcement was on Friday, and then we were going, are they really going ahead with it? Is this seems like it's really not going to happen now? But like, this is weird. We've still not heard anything or whatever. You just think, hello,
yeah,
hello.
We're still here.
Oh right, sorry. There was a weird noise on the Skype. There was a weird noise on the Skype.
Yeah,
Something
that's
just
James messaging. James, I'm serious.
James, why are you doing that?
I'm not doing anything.
doing something else? Okay, Christ Almighty.
Go on, just get on with it. Go
on. Yeah, so this happened on the Friday, which like we at the time we were kind of thinking, oh, is it? Isn't it? Like, surely it can't be on anymore. This seems to be like everything's being cancelled. But now, I mean, you look at it now and what's happened since Friday, you just think, of course, it was getting cancelled. Because, I mean, there's no question about it at this point, is there? It's I think we all kind of underestimated how much of an impact this was going to have on our lives. And yeah, it's the right thing to do.
It's scary because it's gone from, so for me, it's gone from, is Rezzed going to be cancelled to I can't go out for dinner on my birthday like in the same week. It's like, yeah, not that that's the biggest problem, obviously, but yeah, just in terms of like the things it impacts, it's like, oh no, literally everything's shut. It's not just big events. It's like, you know, like tons of like public places and, you know, pubs and clubs and restaurants and all the rest of it are all having to be super careful. Well, apparently that's going to be my only option. Drive through McDonald's. I mean, I've been on a diet for a while, so actually that would be brilliant.
I've had worse birthdays, to be fair.
Yeah.
Sounds all right to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was the right thing to do, and although, you know, it completely sucks for our listeners, and it sucks for us. Let's face it. In the grand scheme of things, it's, I mean, it's not the biggest priority.
No.
So I think it was the right thing to do. And actually, it was weird. It felt that we were following the news so intensely all that week, and following any response from EGX or Rezzed about what they were planning to do, that once it was finally announced, it felt like a massive weight off their shoulders.
Yeah,
I don't know if you had the same experience, but it was kind of like, okay, right, now we know where we are. Let's you know,
and like,
because
obviously anyone who's heard the bonus show knows that we were all sort of like, well, even if it does go ahead, are we comfortable with it? Like, maybe not. So obviously, but we didn't want to have to make that decision, because then it felt like, you know, because if we'd said, well, we're not doing it, but then the event went ahead and was fine, then we feel like arseholes for letting people down. And it was it was a huge relief for Repop to just make that decision.
What we will know is that, you know, or what we will say is that if we're still welcome, obviously I think we will be when or if it gets rescheduled, then of course we will make the most of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know, by all accounts, your tickets should still be valid. I don't know what the situation is with tickets, but don't take my word for that, because I know nothing. I
think they said, didn't they? All the tickets are valid.
It says in the piece, tickets are valid for the new Rezzed dates.
I'll be honest,
so you can't make them contact customer services.
I did tweet about this, you know, and I said, like, one silver lining of this is that venue in summer will be amazing. Like, it's so nice when the weather's good, but obviously end of March, that's always a bit of a gamble.
It's we're always sitting in that bloody McDonald's car park having lunch,
and McDonald's having rain in the outside. Yeah, that'd be the worst.
It is usually Monopoly time though, so you know,
that's sort of ruined that in a way. If anything, I'm like, given all the stuff that has even happened since this was announced like 4 days ago, even now I'm thinking June. I mean, even like saying summer, I'm like, I don't know.
I'd say it's probably unlikely. I don't think that's going to happen.
Hopefully, but there's every chance it won't happen this year at all, given there's so many more weeks and potentially
who knows?
months left.
I mean, the natural instinct is to try and make sense of it all and try and understand and prepare, but no one knows how far this is going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough for me because I'm obviously working towards match fitness, yo-yo wise. Now I need to I was gearing up. I know I'm 11 days out. I had my set down, and now I'm like, well, okay, calm it down. When the new date's confirmed, that's when I get back into training and get back in the gym. But
I've had the opposite thing of being like, oh, now we've had extra time. People are going to expect me to actually be good.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, they're going to. It's like 9 months of training, Sean.
I've led up to this point.
And Dave will have to do the entire album.
Down. Snow's back catalogue. That's his name, innit? Snow. Yeah, that's the one. Go on.
Okay, so I mean, this is also the other thing that happened last week was E3 being cancelled. For the time being, and
that little event.
What?
I said that little industry event got cancelled.
Yeah,
I mean, we weren't at that one, so that's not really.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not as important.
Yeah, it's worth a mention, but
It's not a domestic event, is it?
No.
Come on, no one cares about it.
But it does affect us though because it's like one of our biggest shows.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It is one of our biggest shows. Is gone now.
It's annoying because okay, I was going to be a surprise, but I bought everyone tickets, flights, hotel, and now look.
For fuck's sake, Matt! Now everyone in the world knows our address. No, you do wonder. I mean, ignoring the obviously the seriousness of the events and the reason it was cancelled, you do wonder: is this it? Is this it?
I mean, this is what we said in last week's show,
It's not, though, is it? Because as I'm just about to explain, it's like Microsoft, Ubisoft, and probably Warner Brothers as well are now looking at doing digital events instead.
No.
Well, yeah, but
I mean,
that's
is this it for E3?
Yeah, that's the whole point. Is that after years of people saying, "Well, would we really miss E3?" We're now going to find out. We're going to see this year.
Yeah.
If everyone can just do their own event, and even if they all loosely agree, let's all do it in the same week because it's a cool little
the same week.
Yeah, it's a cool thing for us to do. But we don't have to physically show up anywhere and spend tons of money on it, and we still get the same coverage. Then is that it?
I think it's going to be great because the Microsoft one, if anything, if it's a digital one, they're not going to have digital whooping, are they? On that. It's just
the point.
They should do. It should be like an episode of Friends, I reckon. Every time the two characters kiss on that show and everyone goes mental, they should just clip
and
that
also
and
in between the scenes, it's
obviously, James, the one thing that we'll be mourning is the lack of live show fuck ups at E3.
Yeah.
There's been so many over the years. They've been wonderful. Hi, I'm Jesse Wellins. I'm a YouTube content creator. It was for Need for Speed. Hi, Max. Just wonderful, wonderful moments like that are probably going to be gone now. That's the thing, isn't it? These companies are going to get a taste of what it'd be like without E3. And as you say, I mean, if they all agree to announce stuff within 1 week, there's always that chance that they'll be generating the same amount of buzz without having to go through the whole E3 thing.
I know that
that could be a big turning point.
People have pointed out on Twitter and stuff that actually, a lot of developers and publishers and what have you all sort of, a lot of meetings take place at these events. Like we saw, I don't know if you guys noticed in the inbox, we get updates about this game Everspace 2 that's coming out. So that's been postponed by about 6 months because when GDC got cancelled, they were like, we were supposed to have about 10 meetings with potential funders and partners and stuff. And that's all fallen through. So now we've had to actually delay the game. And you sort of think, well, yeah, because if you can go to one event, spend, one set of flights and hotels and what have you, and then get a shitload of meetings done in one go, that's huge, especially for smaller devs. So that stuff is missing, and that's probably a big deal to a lot of people. But yeah, as a consumer,
Well, no, it's going to be huge. I mean, I think everyone seems to forget that actually E3 isn't about the press conferences. Like when the press conferences happen and we're like, E3 started, and actually everyone in the industry is like, no, E3 starts on like a Tuesday
a couple
when
of days, yeah.
meetings happen, when like the show floor's open. We're like, and some people say, oh yeah, well E3's over now because the conferences have happened. No, I mean like there's a massive side of E3 that we don't really see. We obviously see it in the form of hands-on interviews and stuff over that week. But E3 isn't just press conferences, and like those will carry on.
But what does that matter to us?
Well, no, but I'm saying like E3 is a thing where like people get together, you get interviews, you get the hands-on. That is the stuff that isn't going to be happening, even if it went all digital. Because if it went online, we'll get to conferences, but we ain't got all the other stuff like the actual like meat. The meat on the bones. We'll just get the actual just...
The meat on the bones can still happen. I think there's still going to be a replacement eventually for that side of E3. It's just we won't hear about it. It's
maybe like GDC is just going to become bigger and bigger, like as being something like that.
That's another opportunity. Yeah, that's another thing.
I will miss... Sorry, just as a viewer at home, I will miss the Nintendo Treehouse stuff. It's not always... like massively engaging, but I just like having a Nintendo telly channel I can put on for like 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, you do appreciate that, especially when you've got young kids or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, because when you watch it as an adult, it is like fucking cringe. Like the presenters are like CBBS presenters, aren't they? And tell me what can you do with that? All right, I could fire that. And you're like, what is going on here? This is just
a bit
like
weird.
a fever dream. Yeah. But yeah, last year I stuck a load of those on for Harry, and he sat and watched them for ages because it's games that he wants to play. And someone
the
just
thing I'm going to miss the most, and I think Dave might be with me here, and I didn't sort of realise it until I saw like a new thread on Reset area pop up, and I'm like, oh my god, of course! Like this means there's going to be no like Giant Bomb E3 shows. For the first time,
yeah, I mean, they're okay.
So long, and I'm like, I just love that. I'm obviously like Giant Bomb anyway, but their E3 shows are always, funny, interesting, insightful. Phil Spencer appears in them most years, another people from the industry, and also people drink, and it's just generally a good old time. And like we're not got that. Yeah, this year.
Some of those shows where they're all get their drunk mates on is a bit annoying, but like, I think for me, the one thing that I'm going to miss, and it's something they can reclaim, as we've sort of said a couple of times, is the fact that we know that it's a week where loads of stuff's going to happen. And if the industry manages to pull together and do that all through digital events, then A, I think that might be the death of E3 as we know it, and B, it's okay because it's still going to have that essence of excitement around a certain short period of time. That's what it's all about. If we're going to get a Nintendo Direct, a Sony conference, like a Sony digital thing and a Microsoft one, I don't think Sony would be in that period. Don't get me wrong, but if we all get that within the same week, then isn't that going to be fun?
Yeah.
But speaking of on the back of this,
I don't know.
Speaking on the back of this, I mean, can you see this gen launching this year?
No, I don't think it will.
It's tricky, isn't it?
No, it's. I think it'll definitely get pushed back to next year now.
Yeah, same here. It's crazy.
But another aspect of E3 that also people don't commonly talk about is actually like in terms of the hands-on, like almost all loads of big people from the industry have already played it in E3 Judge this week, which happens. I think it's usually definitely happened by now. That's when like loads of journalists get to play the games, which are going to be shown at E3. They don't get to see the games early that will be announced in the press conferences, but pretty much everything from the show floor they've already played. They've already have their views on. So provided that still happens, we'll still get hands-on information. It's just, and then press conferences will just have to take them as they are, as we normally watch them. So I think it can still happen even without the huge show floor thing, really.
Well, I think it's safe to say that they're already working on this, aren't they? They're already working on their plans in this period and how they're going to deal with it going forward. And we're just going to have to wait and see what comes out of this whole nasty situation.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, in relation, EA have also cancelled all their live events for competitive games, and their staff are all working from home as well. So they've got like live events for like Apex and for FIFA and all that kind of thing, and they're all being ended. But it says online events where participants and staff are remote and separated will continue. So I guess this means the ones, where they have like big events where everyone turns up at a place and everyone plays FIFA or whatever.
Yeah. Well, there's that huge EFL thing happening at the moment. Have you seen all that stuff on Twitter?
No.
Obviously, football is currently suspended. So a load of EFL clubs are getting pro gamers involved in a FIFA tournament, an online FIFA tournament to replace which I kind of like. At first, I was a bit cynical about it and kind of like, well, A, I'm not a fan of that game, and B, is this just a massive marketing campaign off the back of a thing? And yeah, it is to some extent, no doubt, but the fact that they're trying to do something to entertain football fans is pretty cool, and they're using video games to do that. So I'd like to see how that pans out. But I think that begins tonight. I think they've done the first draw. It's a big knockout tournament, and they've done the first draw, and that starts tonight. So yeah.
I've seen like teams like say they're going to play like they're going to simulate the season on like Football Manager. I think Man City and Southampton played noughts and crosses against each other. That ended in a draw, so that's more drop points than Man City this season. And
I mean, you would try and hack the game, wouldn't you, and like lower all of Liverpool's stats so they lose every single game right here from now. Not a fan. Go on, sorry, Liverpool fans.
Okay, right. I'm just looking at the next story. No, because I'm just thinking.
Is this another edit for Matt that you
want
to slip in there?
It's fine.
I'm not editing it. So.
All right. Okay. The next one's about crunch at Naughty Dog, because this has been like a thing this week as well. Because it turns out that with Last of Us 2, there's been rather a lot of crunch going on, and like Jason Schreier's written this whole, from Kotaku has written like a whole like report about it. What he says here, it says, many who have worked at Naughty Dog over the years describe it as a duality, as a place that can be simultaneously the best and the worst workplace in the world. Working at Naughty Dog means designing beloved, critically acclaimed games alongside artists and engineers who are considered some of the greatest in their fields. But for many, those same people, it also means working upwards of 12-hour days and even weekends when the studio is in crunch mode, sacrificing their health, relationships and personal lives at the altar of the game. And I mean, after this, there's this guy who was this guy called Jonathan Cooper. He's gone on Twitter. He's also a animator at Naughty Dog, and he said that they've had to like crunch like more than he's ever seen with Last of Us 2. And when they were just building like the demo of what was shown in September 2019, that required like weeks and weeks of recovery after to get over it, because they were like working so hard on it, and somebody was hospitalised because of overwork, etc. So it seems that things are not going that well there. But Eurogamer tried to speak with Naughty Dog about it, and Sony, but they haven't really responded. And it just looks like it's not a very good situation there.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be worse as well now, isn't it? With so many people having to stay at home and everything.
The thing that really struck me about this was not so much the amount of time people were working, which is bad, obviously, but there was, I can't remember if it was in the article or if it was in Jonathan Cooper's tweets, but apparently like there have been situations where people had been working, like the communication within the studio was so poor that people were working on stuff that other people in the same office knew wasn't going to be in the game, but no one had fucking told them. And it's like, and it's like, that is just like, all right, I can't, I haven't worked in game development. I know it's fucking difficult. The hours involved, whatever. I can't, like, obviously I know what I consider to be acceptable or not, but I can't comment. What I do know is that is just shit project management. Like,
of course, absolutely.
That's inexcusable. I thought that was particularly interesting. This is an easy one for me because I probably wasn't going to buy it anyway because it looks very scary and miserable. So I'm not as like, oh, well, I'm putting my foot down. I'm not buying this game because I probably wasn't going to anyway. And I bought Red Dead Redemption 2. So, I'm not like taking the high horse or anything. I don't know. Gamers are shit at voting with their wallets, aren't they?
They are. I mean, but how much of it is our responsibility?
I mean,
because you just kind of go, well, hold on. We can't be responsible by it for. Well, no, I guess.
Well, yeah, because it's how is this not illegal? Is my first question.
Yep.
And people say like, well, this is just what is required to make these games, right? And let's say that's true. Part of me is just like, well, then we don't get these games anymore. If this is the human cost to it, then surely it comes to the point where it's like, well, then it is impossible to do legally, and it's impossible to do without hurting people. Therefore,
but businesses don't care about that. They just care about the figures, the bottom line. This clearly happens everywhere. It's obviously incredibly bad. Reading about this, and I guess the sad thing is I'm becoming almost numb to it. I just crunch happens in every sort of developer, regardless. It's just the levels of crunch, and for these ones on top of the game, a Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica, who did God of War, obviously Rockstar, the people who are the absolute best of the best. I imagine it's worse than ever because there's a pressure from the company to make sure the game lives up to expectations. There's probably a personal pressure from everyone working on it. They want to be part of working on the best games, and they themselves probably have incredibly high targets, and they sort of allow themselves to be overworked, to go the extra mile, to do arguably maybe what they shouldn't, but they want to be part of this, they want to be the best, and so crunch comes from all angles, and sadly it just seems like it's just part of the industry. I don't know how it can even be fixed. You could say, okay, well, we don't have these sorts of games. I can't see anyone not want to do it. I think the people working it will want to create the best types of games they can. In terms of the businesses, obviously they want these games out now. They don't want to wait 4, 5, 6, 7 years unless you're someone like I guess Valve making Half-Life games and those sort of there's only a handful of studios that can afford to work on projects for years, scrap them and start again on something else. But people themselves have higher standards. They want to be part of the best teams, making the best games.
I don't roll with that.
I don't like. You see that phrase, going the extra mile. I hate that phrase because it's just so. It just sounds so manipulative. To say to people
but people themselves will want to I'm saying people.
But you as an employer has an employer has a
you got a duty
responsibility to
protect people.
For sure.
In some
but
cases,
I think sadly this is just how this industry is, and we're going to hear this won't be the last story of this. We're going to hear so many more, and I don't know how they can fix it. I mean, obviously unions will be a big part of that.
I think they need to be more
I'm not surprised,
high profile AAA studios saying holding their hands up and saying we don't do this and these are the games we've made. It can be done. I believe the last couple of Assassin's Creed games nobody crunched on. But I'm not 100% sure on that. Why aren't people more why aren't more people shouting about doing this stuff properly? And because it's an easy fucking PR win if there's nothing else.
I'd rather they. I mean, this is obviously just personal opinion, but I would rather they just delayed stuff rather than it having to break.
Yeah, but that's not how it works.
No, but James, that's exactly what's happening in this case. In this case, they delayed Last of Us, and I believe the comments at the time were saying, we I'm sure there's reference to wanting to have it either easier or not to be at the disservice of staff. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what people implied at the time or just read from it, but I'm sure this game got delayed. I'm fairly sure because of that, and we were really then in the thick of all the big stories breaking about crunch, and this is still happening.
Yeah, because I don't
think delays are going to stop it.
We heard this about Cyberpunk as well, didn't we? Because the delay for that was announced, and the sort of people sort of assuming oh well, cool, that means the staff won't kill themselves, and then but other people were no, that just means they're going to crunch for longer. This it just never ends.
Yeah, it's just going to elongate the crunch.
What was interesting? I mean, this is obviously very anecdotal stuff, but the sense I got from stuff I'd read around Red Dead Redemption 2 was that the devs were well, yeah, we if we've hurt ourselves to make this, please play it. Don't it would be even worse if we did this and then no one and everyone there was just a stigma around it, no one wanted to play it. But I think it was in Jonathan Cooper's tweets he was saying there are people in the studio saying I sort of hope this fails so that people see that there's a problem, because if it just comes out and it's brilliant then that's it, all gets glossed over yet again and it continues happening. So just the difference in attitude there is interesting. I mean, as I say, this is anecdotal and this is quotes from individuals, so this is you probably find both attitudes in both studios, but it's a weird one.
Just to clarify, actually, on the comment I made, basically in a delay post from Druckmann, the delay for Last of Us 2 back in October, there's obviously no mention of protecting stuff. It just says that the game didn't come up to the level of polish we would call Naughty Dog quality. Hang on. We went with the latter being the delay, and this new release date allows us to finish everything to our level of satisfaction, whilst also reducing stress on the team. So this one does explicitly.
Like that's not happening.
Yeah, this one does explicitly mention it, and it's a delay, but that still doesn't. Things are still going on.
Yeah, and delays are not necessarily down to the studio either. It could be, lack of delays might not be down to the studio either. It's it's down to investors, and there are other pressures there.
Yeah, because if
it's not a delay it and you'll get less stress on the team. It's delay it or have a game that's fundamentally broken, full of bugs. That's where that's what it might be. But let's face it, we don't know enough about it. I just think it's interesting to look at where the responsibility lies and how much of that responsibility lies on us. Yeah. And I think there is some responsibility there from gamers, but I don't think it's a major part of that responsibility. I think we're quite a small piece in who's responsible for the health, safety and welfare of the staff that create the games that we love. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one.
I watched sort of relevant documentary, the No Clip documentary about Final Fantasy XIV and how it got remade. A listener recommended it to me, and I've forgotten your name. I'm really sorry, but thank you for pointing me at it. It's really good.
Ouch.
So Naoki Yoshida, who was brought in to fix Final Fantasy XIV, I've mentioned this before. The game was fucked, so they agreed to basically close it and work on a sequel. But so they worked they kind of patched the existing game as it was, but also worked on a newer version of it at the same time. And it was how on earth was that done with not a massive amount of staff and resources and stuff? It should have been basically impossible. And he just talks at length about how he was just I had fucking spreadsheets for everything. He would get people everyone in the team to estimate how long individual tasks took, and then he would measure how long those tasks actually took. He would get a sense of who overestimated, who underestimated, and he collated all this information, and he just micromanaged the fuck out of everyone. And he was but everyone got used to it, and it worked, and we managed to patch one game and make a new game out of it at the same time and release it to critical acclaim. It's everyone was well, this is going to be impossible. How on earth are you going to do it? But he managed it because he managed the staff properly, and it can be done.
It can. It's a big problem, and it needs addressing. And the more stories that come out like this, the more of a spotlight that gets. Okay, James?
Okay, some happier news, which is that Super Mario Lego is coming.
Yeah.
Oh, God. And is it coming? Jesus Christ. When you see stuff like this, it looks like a half-baked, quick cash in, stick an M on a normal Lego character's hat, and just, put a green pipe. That'll do. This looks way more than that, doesn't it? The video just looks insane.
Yeah, it's absolutely class.
It's some sort of so good. It almost looks like a ball game, doesn't it, or something that they've you put together, which looks pretty interesting.
Which is fine,
those are little digital screens as his eyes and mouth.
Yeah,
just so good.
Because I'm one of those old fuckers who moans about Lego not really being about creativity anymore, right? It's buying sets and building the set as per the instructions.
Yeah, it's IKEA.
Yeah. Which I'm not wild about, but in this case, it's something quite different. So I think I'm all right with it. Like you say, it seems more like a game.
I wonder if you'll be like me. Yeah. I wonder if you'll be like me. I never had Lego in my house. We never had it. I was the Playmobil boy.
Wait, you didn't have it as a child?
Nope.
Oh, mate.
Oh, man.
Awful.
Playmobil. Shit, I didn't know it was because of a Playmobil.
I only had Lego because my kids, my parents were just if I wanted something, they were just build it. A Lego. I used to sit there with the Argos catalogue, making things. Lego.
And then build a catalogue.
This conversation could have gone so differently. I thought you were going to say, "Oh yeah, if I ever wanted anything, my parents would get it for me," and I'd just sit there with the Argos catalogue.
I totally thought it was going our way too.
Yeah, I know.
I know Lego because I was like, "Son, what would you like Lego?" Oh, we bought 1,000 Lego for you.
But no, we went like Harry is obsessed with Lego, and I was kind of thinking, well, what's the point if all the instructions are telling you exactly what you should be doing, and that's a bit. Surely that takes the fun out of it and all this sort of stuff. But when you sit down there and do a Lego set, man, is it fun. Like, it really is. Going through it piece by piece and putting it all together and then getting a toy at the end of it is just, it's great. I'm pushing him to the side at one point and just going, Harry, go and do something else. Let me finish this. But he's now at an age where he just does it himself. He doesn't need my help.
I'm really looking forward to that. I didn't put this in what you've been playing, but I had to go at building some Labo with Isaac today. It turns out building Labo with a 2-year-old, fucking terrible idea.
Sean, it's terrible with a 6 or 7-year-old. To be honest, it's not. You need to be a bit older.
I don't know. Harry was 3 and he was pretty good. Yeah. He just sat there and handed me the bits of card. He didn't do any himself.
That's what I mean. I was trying to get my kids to do it. It was like that was not fun.
Yeah, no, he wanted to grab everything. Obviously, he's just like 2-year-olds are just like so destructive. Not even trying to be. They just pick things up and crush them in their hands and like, oh, whoops. Like he was just doing that, and he's like pulling at bits of cardboard. I'm like, no, what are you doing? Stop it! And everything I wasn't allowing him to hold. That was a tantrum every single time.
That's a 2-year-old.
I mean, he really enjoyed. So I built the little motorbike one, and he really enjoyed having a go with it when it was finished. But about 3 minutes of enjoyment for an hour of kicking off.
Yeah, you've got to enjoy it yourself if you want to do that stuff, definitely. Yeah. But Harry still creates his own things out of Lego, so there's still that imagination there. Cool. But when we both fell in love with that Mario set when they showed it off, my word, does that look like a lot of fun.
I mean, there's not any news on when it's eventually going to come out, but apparently it's been developed.
It's annoying.
It's been in development for 4 years, though, apparently. Wow. Like, this is not just a new thing, but there could also be other things like Zelda and Star Fox, potentially, in the future, which could be quite good. I mean...
Lego R-Wing. Imagine that.
I mean, Star Fox seems like an odd...
Or a Zelda dungeon. Like a Zelda dungeon would be pretty good.
That's the point. I was going to say Star Fox seems like an odd one, considering when was the last time we had a Star Fox game?
Star Fox doesn't seem so big, but Zelda's are nailed on, surely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, it's not Nintendo. Go on.
Okay, and then there's been a couple of sort of game announcements, which I thought I'd just skip over. With this, I mean, CG Projekt Red apparently are going to be working on a new single-player game after they finish with Cyberpunk.
No way! Whoa, shit! Can't believe it.
And it's basically looks like it's going to be another Witcher game, but.
But crucially,
breaking news,
not The Witcher 4, right? Which makes sense because obviously, if you finish Witcher 3, it's pretty final.
It also makes sense because no one brings out a number 4 game anymore, is it? It's like for number 1, number 2, number 3, and then
reboot. It's always a subtitle.
It's a reboot or colon. Yeah. Witcher Rise Again. You know what I mean? It'll be that. It'll be something like that, wouldn't it?
So there's speculation it could be like a prequel or something like that, or something that was set before it. Or something.
It would just be called The Witcher.
The Witcher,
or just Witcher.
The Witcher : Baby Witcher.
Fucking hell.
I'd play that.
It would be cool to see, because everything we've seen Witcher-wise. I don't know if the books are the same, but it's all like there's basically hardly any Witchers left, and they're all like scattered and Fox. It would be cool to see something set in like the heyday of the Witchers when there's actually loads of them and the schools like properly established, and it's not just a fucking
hopefully
ruin.
Before Gwent was invented in that universe.
That's ideal.
Nice. Only a little bit before then.
Not I always had the choice not to play it, but I'd still prefer not to even be asked.
Yeah.
So
to have it as having it as a task on my list that's just always there is irritating.
If they did that though, there would be a side quest where it's like, I'm working on a card game. I wonder if you could help me test it.
Don't bother. Just.
No, you're right. Side quest. Okay, but we will try and crow this bar into the main quest a little bit later down the line. It's gonna happen. Fuck you, Gwen.
Yeah. Also, Westwood's Blade Runner game is getting remastered as well. This is odd because it's going to be an enhanced edition, and the reason this is odd is because it's long been kind of believed that this was a game that was never going to be like resurrected again because the source code was apparently lost. But then the company that's doing this is Night Dive, have like reverse engineered it and are now putting it, like back together again, I guess.
Cool.
And it's kind of like updated character models, animations and stuff. I mean, I'm quite interested in this because this was like a point and click game that I never played, but I heard that it was very good like back in the day.
Yeah,
and,
it's so I played this back in the day, and really interesting. But like visually has aged very badly. And like even at the time, there was this issue that because it was all they did the Donkey Kong Country thing of like, so it was pre-rendered stuff, but then turned into sprites. But then obviously characters could sort of come towards you in the scene and would just get pixelated as fuck, and it looked really bad. So if they've solved that, that'd be great. It does a nice thing of like, it's not the plot of the film, but it's set around it, and it's same locations and stuff. So it's enough that you're like, oh my god, it's like it's from the film, but without having to actually stick to that. Loads of really interesting stuff. Like you do the the Voigtkampf tests on people and stuff like that, and it's just it's great.
Because I think the reason why it's like not fully based on the film, that I don't remember hearing there was some sort of like licensing problems or something.
Oh, really?
Like with like using Harrison Ford's face or something like that, and they weren't allowed, or so that's why they went off in a different direction. But then it worked out better that way, as these things often do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like not being.
Yeah.
But
I'll be interested. Well, I'll probably play through it again myself because it's been that long since I played it. I remember basically none of it. So that'll be a cool one to revisit. I had like problems with the ending, which obviously I won't go into. I know it's an old game, but like if you're looking forward to playing it for the first time, I'll not spoil it. But we can discuss that, I guess. Has it got a release date?
No.
Okay.
But it's coming. It's coming PS4, Xbox One, Steam, and Switch.
Cool.
So it's coming on everything. So that's pretty good.
Nice.
Okay, now, do you want a Stadia story, or do you want to go for the Nintendo event that there was today?
Oh, choose your own news venture.
James, I roll a 5.
Turn to page 8. Sorry, a Stadia story or what?
Or the Nintendo event there was today.
Okay, one more question. Are we going to get both anyway?
Yeah,
yes.
I guess so.
Right, let's get Stadia out of the way.
Let's go Stadia.
Okay, so Doom Eternal is not true 4K on Google Stadia.
No way.
Yeah, so id Software has confirmed that it's not true 4K. It runs at like 1080p.
No, I thought we knew that.
60 No, we didn't, because they made a big thing out of this about it being like a true 4K game, and that.
Yeah, but we've known that every game that's come out for it up until now anyway hasn't been true 4K, right?
No, but then also it said more recently that it was going to be like 4K on Stadia.
Right, okay, so a recent decision.
Yeah,
David, that's not going to stop James clarifying that every game is not going to be 4K.
okay.
We've got another 65 of these news reports.
Yeah. But yeah, Google have already said that like Stadia is supposed to be like more powerful than Xbox One X and PS4 Pro combined, and it was Phil Harrison who said that like all games are going to support 4K, but then this isn't. It's another one that's being upscaled, it seems. So, yeah, that's a shame, I guess.
Can't believe Phil Harrison got
something wrong. Upscaled to or from?
Sorry, Matt.
No, sorry, James. Also being upscaled to or from, exactly.
Okay, so it runs at 1080p and 60 FPS on HD displays, but then it upsamples to 2160 from 1800p from there.
Was that just a challenge, Matt?
It was.
Yeah,
he was trying to see. Matt was trying to see if I'd written it down or not. That's what that was about.
You passed the test.
Yeah, I know.
You passed the test.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah, it's 18,000p. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
100p. Stop being a prick. Go on.
Okay, right. Let's get on to the Nintendo news then.
Okay, so there was an indie event today. I haven't got the details of every single game here because it only happened not so long ago. But I just thought who saw it? Who actually saw it?
I did, yes.
Okay, so did anyone see anything they like the look of?
Yeah,
Blue Flame. Is it Blue Flame? That first one they showed off.
Oh yeah. Was it called Blue Flame? I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, it looked pretty good. I was intrigued by The Last Campfire and I Am Dead.
Hello Games.
Yeah.
That's the Hello Games one,
The Last
right?
Campfire was, yeah. And yeah,
Do you know, Harry laughed constantly. Like he was laughing hard at the I Am Dead game.
Was he?
Yeah. Because didn't it turn around to say, oh yeah, one more thing.
Yeah,
I'm dead.
Yeah.
And then he burst into laughter, right? He said he was dead.
Asher did pretty much the same thing, actually.
I mean,
and then when he went out the room, and then he came back and he said, "Oh, is that I am dead?" And it seems to be stuck in his head now. Like this.
Yeah,
this...
totally.
I mean, like we're sort of like it's definitely written as like a punchline, isn't it? I mean, it didn't make me laugh, but it was it was the structure of a joke. In a way, wasn't it?
Well, Harry lost his shit over it, and not only that, it's when the title come up, "I am dead," it just burst into fits of laughter again. I'm worried. I'm worried, is what I'm saying. If you don't hear from me,
it is quite
a
Harold. Fun title for a game, but that's been worked on by is it Richard Hogg, who did a lot of stuff on Hohokum, which I was a massive fan of. It's published by Annapurna, which is usually a pretty good signifier of quality. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Pixel Junk Eden 2. Well up for that. That was a great game. And it's on the Switch. Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, not that bothered about that.
All right, whatever.
But, there was that weird medieval card game or whatever. Like I only saw about 3 seconds of that because Harry just screamed, "Boring!" So I just turned it off.
Chip off the old block, isn't
obviously,
it?
I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm so proud. I'm so proud.
I'm obviously interested in Summit in Mara, which seems like a sort of My Time at Portia game. There's like fishing, there's day-night cycle, farming.
But do we need...
That looks like another one of my games.
Do we need another one of those, though, given that we've had a few and now we've got Animal Crossing imminent?
I don't need one, but it looks alright, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it did look really nice.
I just thought... There's so many games like that seem to come out these days. I bet it's got crafting as well.
100%.
And like the whole thing. It's
it's farming, it's crafting, it's gardening, it's fishing.
James is never going to accept an alternative.
I'm not,
honestly.
No. And I'm super excited.
It's like his
Friday.
Diet Coke thing.
Yeah, it's not.
He really is like a fanboy, isn't he? That's James's thing.
Yeah. How excited are you really, James?
I'm ridiculously excited, and I cannot wait. For it to drop on Friday.
Right, look, if we're talking Animal Crossing just briefly, can you explain to me? So if I get the game on Friday, because I said on Twitter the other day, I said it as a joke, but I kind of like the idea that Harry is living on my island, yeah. And the fact that like he's just going to be the one guy on the island that everyone's like rolling their eyes at because he's just like smashing up places, leaving turnips everywhere. He's fucking built a Mario pipe in the middle of the town square, out of nowhere and stuff like that. I kind of like that he's like the he's just like the dickhead of the island, and everyone's got the ump with him. But what like so. Have I got to set the game up first on my profile and then he joins as a visitor? Has he got restrictions on what he can do?
No.
Compared to me?
What will happen is you set it up as like for yourself, first of all, and then when he starts the game using his profile, then he will be able to join in that town as well. And he won't be a guest in that town, he'll just be also another person living there.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so he can do everything I can do.
Yeah, he can wreck the whole thing. I mean, this is why I've gone too far this time. And it's not good.
Well, have you gone too far, James?
I've just gone too far. I've really gone too far.
Why? What have you done?
What does that mean?
Okay.
Have you ordered 3 copies of the game, James?
I'll send you a picture on WhatsApp. You can see how I've gone too far.
God's
sake. You can tell us because we're on a podcast.
Well,
aren't we?
You can have a look and then you'll know how I've gone too far.
Right. Okay. Here's what I'm thinking.
Holy
James! Switch. James Farley.
This can't be real. James.
Right. So we now have a picture in our WhatsApp group of 4 Nintendo Switches and 4 copies of the game.
Yep.
I went too far.
Why?
I mean, that's intense.
That's 3 Switch lights. There's a yellow one, a grey one, a green one, and then there's the original Switch. And so, what's happened here, James?
Well, okay. So
I can see what's happened, but I wanted to explain this.
Let's work it out. So they're 150 quid now.
Yeah.
You paid £300 for your original Switch.
Yeah.
So that's £600. Plus, when the light come out, that was what, $250?
Yeah.
It's about
200, wasn't it? Like
200. Yeah. Okay, so we're now up to £800 plus, let's say, £40 per per copy of the game. That's 160. So £960 you've spent just so your family can't play with you. Like that is some commitment.
When you put it like that,
that's some commitment. Just
okay.
because you don't want them to get your digital
the hell,
turnips.
James?
It's happened slowly over time. It's not been like sudden.
No, it hasn't.
It says otherwise.
It has. Okay, look. So I got the
So
I got
when
the
you
original
say slowly
Switch.
over time, this time last week, did you have 2 Switches?
Yes.
Right, so now you've got 4. So it's not been slowly
No,
over
it's
time.
like-
That's
no,
a big
James.
week, James.
Here's what happens. Let me explain what happened.
Please,
So
please.
my original Switch, obviously, I bought at launch. The yellow one was Ash's that he had for his birthday.
Yes.
Then the blue one was Rachel's one that she had for her birthday.
okay.
Right, okay.
The black one I bought for Chen.
That's just an extra. That's just an extra.
That's the most recent one that I bought, and I bought it because it was on sale and it was cheaper. And I just thought because she likes playing Picross,
Right, this is over a grand
she likes
then.
Tetris.
This is over a grand.
I thought it was fine. And yeah, so this is kind of how it happened, and it went. Chen's really furious about all of this, and it's
Is
terrible.
she?
Yeah.
Or she could be loving it because you've got her own consoles to play
Well,
the
yeah,
game.
she's liking that, but then she's also just like obviously ridiculing me for having spent like a lot of money on like just one game,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, she's used to that. She knows you bought FIFA 17 times.
Did any of you see it was I can't remember if it was on like Am I the Asshole or just the Reddit relationships thread.
The answer is yes, James. The answer is yes.
But yeah, basically it was these Twitter accounts that just post funny shit from Reddit.
Yeah, it was definitely
It
Am I
was,
the Arsehole?
yeah. And yeah, basically this guy was like, "Oh, I've been playing games for years, and my girlfriend's never been interested." And like basically the other day she piped up like she'd really like to play Animal Crossing with me, and I told her no, she'd have to get her own Nintendo Switch. And everyone's like, "Yeah, that's kind of shitty, mate." And he's like, "No,
James,
right?"
you just popped into that thread.
And basically, he was like, "No, right,
Well, I saw
because
that,
because it's
that's-
really important. Like, it's like you have to really like plan things out properly in this game, and like you have to really grind it to achieve everything." It's like fucking hell, mate. It's Animal Crossing.
See, that-
Your
and
girlfriend's trying to
that's
build
complete
bridges
opposite.
here. Like, just fucking let it happen.
Yeah. She needs to get out of there,
Yep.
girlfriend. James, this is mental.
I know it's ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever done, to be honest. And it's
Do you know what I will say? Do you know what I
You've got
will
some
say in
competition.
James's defence? At least this way, they can all play the game at the same time, right? They can still visit each
Exactly.
other, which I assume they will.
exactly. Yeah.
Whereas if they it's a shame there isn't a halfway house of like you could share the island but all play. It's like as if it was like a server you're
Yeah.
connected to, like a Minecraft server or whatever, and you can all sort of dip in and out on your own switches. But that's not.
Yeah, it's a shame we don't have to spend £1,000 on Switch, isn't it?
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, at least now they can play, at the same time for £1,000.
It's not £1,000. It's just been over
Near
a
as
period
damn
of
There's
it.
time.
£1,000 worth of equipment there.
It's not.
Yes, there is, James. We've just worked it out. There's
No,
£1,000
he's doing the
worth
Matt
of
Murray
stuff
thing
there.
of like, oh, but I needed to get this and that anyway. So that's
Yeah, he sold
so
some
that's
stuff,
technically free.
There's a sale.
I did
James,
sell
that's-
some stuff. It's
And James, like, yes, you've bought 4 Switches and 4 copies of the game, sure. But the most pressing question is anyone in your family actually going to get shovel privileges on your island?
absolutely not. Like,
Yeah,
no one's
that's
getting
the
that.
most costly thing. That's way more than £1,000.
This is why I've done this. This is to stop that from happening.
This is why I've done this.
Just spend
I've
900
done
quid.
this. I've spent £1,000 so that they don't use a shovel on my island.
They don't mess up
Listen
my
to
island.
yourself, James.
But I know, okay, it is a lot of money, but it's over a period of time. It's not all just. I haven't just put this down now and just bought
It's
everything
over
in one
a
go.
period of time.
He's only bought 2 and 2 copies of the game in the last
This
week.
is like when
Dave.
people
Come on.
buy like a really expensive item of clothing and they sort of think, yeah, but what's like the cost per wear? Like that's what James is saying. Yeah, but we'll be playing this for the next year, so it doesn't matter. It's
James, you did not. Yeah, your sole purpose was so that they didn't get to play with you. That is it. They didn't get to experience your animal-based
They can.
island.
They
digital
can still do
island.
that. They can just come and visit when I want them
with
to.
certain rights
They
removed.
can look but not touch.
Right. So, okay. So this leads me on to my next question. Right. What is Nintendo's excuse for this? Now, I've understood that. Yes, this has been a regular thing in Animal Crossing that each profile doesn't get their own island. But this just feels different now because we're on a Switch. The profiles feel so separate on that thing. Like if Harry plays a game that I've completed on his profile, it's as if it's never been played before. So the system's in place. What's their excuse for doing it this way for this?
I think the reason they've done it is...
I mean, the reason they've done it is so that people spend £1,000 on one game.
No, it's not. People like James will do it.
Exactly. But it's also because they're trying... They are trying to create a collaborative experience, clearly. Like the idea that everyone's playing the same thing.
Fuck you.
And I'm doing everything I can to stop that from happening.
It's £1,000, Mr. Nintendo. That's
so I don't have to deal with that. It's like... Yeah.
That can't be the reason.
It is the reason. It must be. There's no other reason.
Why wouldn't they just have... Because when I put that tweet out about Harry being the dickhead of my town and me having to deal with him, no matter the randomness of whatever he does, I've got to just deal with on the fly. When I put that tweet out, people were saying we just wanted the option, and I was like, do you know what? You're absolutely right. Why can't you just have the option to say this version of the game is going to be everyone lives on the same island? Or this one is that, people could choose not to go on that island and create their own.
There is that option, though. You can just buy loads more machines, and then it's not a problem.
Yeah, but the average person doesn't do that, James. You really are.
I know. I wouldn't do this for anything else, honestly. This game means a lot to me.
FIFA? That doesn't excuse it. You can't use that as an you can't say that.
I can.
That's not a defence. Look, I would only do this for one game. £1,000 worth of equipment.
It's not £1,000.
Fucking hell. How much is it then?
Well, how much did the Switch cost when it first came out?
I thought you were going to go, priceless. How much does the Switch cost? We just told you. They were 300 odd quid when they first come out.
Let's have a look.
Then they launched with the Switch Lite at around 200. So that's two of them. So you're already up to 700.
Yeah. So the original price for Switch was $279.
Yeah. Okay, so we got $279 for that, and then the Switch Lites cost $180 each. So what's that?
Not at launch, I didn't.
Yeah, it did.
No.
Yeah, but I didn't pay launch price, did I? Because I didn't get it as soon as it came out.
All right. Okay. So that's 360.
It's 790.
Yeah, 790 plus the games.
That's 200 quid.
Oh, it's
not, is it? They were 40 quid each.
They were
roughly.
not. I bought them from CD Keys.
Which is 40 quid.
It's not.
Yeah,
it's
£140 for 4 copies.
Exactly, 140. Okay, so that's fucking hell.
138. So yeah, you are. You're close to.
Have you done the maths or what, James? What's the maths?
It's ridiculous. I'm embarrassed. It's
We've got through to him.
No one can mess up your town.
Exactly.
So...
No one can screw with my town. And also, I can play Tetris with Chen sometimes now, which is nice. So
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Now I can have a little bit of alone time with the one that I fancy. Right. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Is that it for news?
No. There's one last piece. Which is that Xbox Series X had a press release. I mean, over to you, Matt. You're excited about this. Go on, you do the thing.
Well, no, I mean, you're in charge of the news. I'll listen to you.
Well, there's nothing to say, is there? It's just look, here's our tech specs, and also you can add memory cards. That's it, basically.
Yeah, the memory card thing was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that's arguably yeah. So obviously they finalised the specs. It's powerful as fuck. You can go to Digital Foundry if you want to find out the actual specs, but safe to say it's incredibly powerful. And actually, there's a really, really in-depth Digital Foundry piece. There's also a couple of tech YouTubers have also gone to Redmond to see the new Xbox and put it together, and they've also got their own videos out, which are also really interesting. But and the new pad looks great. It's got some rib bits on the triggers. It's slightly smaller, etc., etc. But yeah, the most interesting thing for me is the announcement that that port on the back of the Xbox, where we're like, well, what is that? Is that a proprietary thing? Is that just what is that port? Well, they now confirm that port is now for additional storage. Obviously, the Xbox itself has an NVMe SSD drive, which is a super powerful SSD. When I've got NVMe drive in my PC, they're basically faster than SSDs. But they've got their own version of that. I think it might be called Fusion Drive or something similar. And basically, games have been designed with that in mind. Games basically need this new super fast, super powerful drive to work. And without that, then they can't work. So in terms of extending or expanding the storage of your Xbox. Obviously, up to now, on my Xbox One X, I've got a 4 TB drive. It's amazing. I download games, it goes straight to that. I don't have to think about storage. It's amazing. Although the new Xbox does have the ability to allow users to plug in standard USB 3.2 drives, you can't actually run Xbox Series X games off that. They have to be either be on the internal storage, of which it starts with a terabyte, or you have to buy these proprietary memory cards, which are basically mini NVMe drives, exactly the same drive as you've got internally in the machine, but like little external ones which you can buy.
This is daft. This is really daft.
Okay, so
makes sense.
I can see both sides to this. I fully get that, they develop this console to be super powerful, and so as a result, I get that not any drive we've got out on the market right now is going to work. Even though there are NVMe drives, but they've got their own special version, as I said. I get that if we want these games to perform as well as we want and as they suggest we can have, I get we can't use it standard stuff, but
they're saying you can just use standard stuff.
No, they're not.
Right?
No, you can use standard stuff you can use standard stuff to store Xbox One games and backwards compatible games. You can use them potentially to store to store Series X games, but you can't run them. So basically, I could have Series X games on a standard external drive, but if I want to play that game that's on there, I have to then copy that to the internal memory. So this is the way around that. So what we've got here is we have got proprietary, memory cards in, just like we had memory cards for the PlayStation 2, just like we've had, you had to buy the memory stick Duo for the Vita and I guess probably PSP as well. What's different about, and also, with the Switch, Switch to go like 32 gig memory. Essentially, if you want anything more than a decent number of games,
the difference
you've got to buy other memory. What's different here is that say the Switch, for example, that memory is cheap to buy, it's everywhere, and you can basically buy any sort of, any of those memory cards. It's the same specification, you're just using to expand the storage. Here, you can't buy anything because what they've developed is so bespoke. You have to basically replicate what they've got inside the machine. So I can see it from both sides. Do we want the best games? Of course, but these things are going to cost the earth, the absolute earth, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going to be really expensive.
And this is like the PlayStation Vita, like all over again. Like in the sense that maybe they do have a better solution in terms of like memory speed and all that kind of thing, but the cards then end up being so ridiculously expensive that it kind of kills that. That's definitely not going to happen with this, because a terabyte's probably going to be fine. But it is.
Well, I don't know. Actually, I would argue the other way.
Yeah,
like the new Call of Duty is like 120 gig or whatever it is. Like, so basically, 8 to 10 games. I mean, when I got my X,
it depends how quickly you can copy onto those hard drives. So if you do have just a standard external hard drive, and you're storing games on that, and it's just a case of switching them out, like installing them onto the hard drive on the system, but that only takes 2 minutes, say, for example, then that's way better than the current solution, where if you haven't got it, then you have to download it. So you're looking at
it's not better than the current solution, because the current solution is, like I've done, you buy a big external drive and everything's on that.
No, what I'm saying is that if this is so integral, if this hard drive is so integral to how games run on that system, then still allowing to store on an external hard drive and then just copy them over. It depends how quickly that stuff gets copied over, doesn't it?
Yeah,
that's going to be whether that's a viable solution or not.
Whenever there's proprietary memory, it's just never great, because it just ends up being really expensive. And then, I imagine eventually there'll probably be people release like Series X compatible whatever, like drives or whatever, unless Microsoft really lock it down.
These are made by Seagate, so there's obviously a specification like for these, and maybe other memory providers, Western Digital or some other ones that are a bit more reliable, will release their own. But and they've clearly done this to make sure that the cost of the box is cheaper. Like a 1 terabyte drive, like it'd be much better, obviously, if we had a 2 or 3 terabyte drive, but they obviously want to cut down the price as much as possible, because this thing's going to cost a bomb anyway. So they said, okay, here you just get a terabyte on board, but there's other options if you want to expand the storage. These things could. God knows how much they're going to be. I mean, an NVMe drive for like a PC. I think I got mine's like a 512 gigabyte, and that's like 80 or 90 quid. So that's not crazy. But this obviously is that plus their own bespoke specification, etc. When I read this, I was like, because all this stuff about the Xbox sounds great. They've also, in this same press release or same news dump they had the other day, they also showed demos of ray tracing, which looks stunning, of course.
Yeah, it made
they
Minecraft
showed things
look amazing.
Yeah, Minecraft looks unbelievable. They also showed videos showing like quick resume, and they had like 5 games running, quickly go from one game to the other. That obviously looks brilliant. They had another video. Oh, I think maybe they had the difference between loading a game on like the old on the One X versus the Series X. It all looks good, of course. Everything sounds good, but this, I'm like, oh no, what are you doing? Why would you do it? But I get it. I get why they've done it, because they built an incredible machine and we want the best. But I don't know. It's these things are going to cost a bomb. They've obviously done it to try and reduce costs.
As I say, it never ends well, like proprietary memory like this.
I don't know. If you could copy games across from a normal hard drive within, say, 5 minutes, then I think that would be okay.
It would be okay, right? But like right now, we go to play a game right now, and we're like, oh brilliant, I'm going to play Gears, and I'm like, oh no, I can't. There's a 20 gig update, like, or whatever. I mean, like, again,
yeah.
They have said they want to reduce that by downloading games in, like, say, single player and multiplayer, and they want have lighter updates, etc., etc. But there is still always that thing now. Oh, I'm gonna play Destiny. I can't. There's a massive update, or I can't do this. And like, so now we've got on top potentially. I mean, obviously we're just like spitballing, but potentially a 5-minute wait to copy the game from our existing external drive to the internal one. And I don't want to do that. That's why I bought an external for my current One X.
And then download a 100 gig update, for whatever it is.
No, I'm assuming it will still update on that original hard drive, on that external hard drive.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of unknowns, but this is like, I get it. I fully do get it. It's not like with the Vita. It's like, well, can't we use any memory storage, like any like SD card back in those days? But it had to be the specific, memory, the something, was it the stick duo or whatever, it had to be a specific one. I get that at the time. That was expensive. This, I get it. There is technology in these drives that you can't get elsewhere, but I don't know. It's a worry.
We'll see. All right. Okay. Is that it for the news?
That is it. Yeah.
Cool. Sean, you've been quiet.
Yeah, so you know what I get like with,
Let's hear what you've been
console
playing.
spec stuff. I'm just like, just let me have a go on the thing.
Does it not get you hot and heavy?
Do you know,
Sean?
I was watching the Digital Foundry video, and I'm just like, do you know, like, this is fine. It's for a niche audience, but I just imagine like loads of people watching it, not actually understanding a word of it, but getting really excited anyway. And it's just weird to me. I don't know.
I mean, tomorrow, which is obviously, in fact, today, if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, Sony have announced that they've got a show. They've got a conference, haven't they? So that they're in that they're going to show off what they've said.
No, they haven't.
Yeah.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
There's a PS5 thing tomorrow.
4 p.m.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, Mark Cerny's doing a thing.
Mark Cerny is doing what he present. Yeah, it's going to be a deep dive into the PS5 system.
Matt. They can't have announced it because surely that would have been in the fucking news.
But you can't. Okay, look, you can't do that because we can't talk about it.
Do that.
It's
okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's no discussion to be had
about
about it yet, is there? That'll have to be next week.
Exactly. It's
So,
like, there's going to be that. And it's come up naturally in conversation, so it's fine.
Okay.
It's all right. We've
saved you.
But David, I mean, I know it's not news, but hypothetically, basically, Mark Cerny tomorrow at 4 p.m. UK time, which is today, listeners on Wednesday, is going to do a deep dive into PS5 system architecture and how it will shape the future of games. And I'm quite excited.
Okay. All right. Sean, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing Lair. That's Lair of the Clockwork God, not.
Oh, you got that right.
Realm of the Clockwork God, as I said last week.
People were moaning on me on Twitter, and I was like, I'm sorry, I've just taken it from the dot.
Yeah, that's on me. I hold my hands up. And I feel really bad because we did get code for this as well. So I haven't emailed Dan yet, and I'm going to email him this week and be like, so we talked about it last week and this week. Here's what happened.
I called it FIFA. And
so I'll put a bit more time into this for those who somehow missed it last week. So this is the one that it's essentially the third in a trilogy of point-and-click adventure games, but the twist being one of the characters has now decided he's a platformer and not a point-and-click adventure guy anymore. So I'm maybe another hour in, and it is delightfully inventive and weird, and I sort of... I could talk about it for a long time, but really all I'd be doing is spoiling jokes from it, because it's really funny. Just little things like... So Ben is the point and click guy, and Dan is now the platformer who wants everything to be modern and cool and indie. And like when you start doing more puzzles with Ben, like he combines 2 items right in his inventory to make a new item. And Dan just chips in with like, "Oh, if you're gonna do that, can you at least call it crafting instead?" Like, it's all just little observations like that about sort of changing attitudes and language in video games in general. I'm now in a segment where, so Ben and Dan have gone to this sort of different world where, so Ben dies and finds himself in this like respawn facility that's run by dinosaurs for some reason. And the way they figure out, like, so basically Ben's like, well, can I like respawn at the end of the level so I don't have to do any platforming? And they say, oh, well, what we do is we respawn you in the place that like we have to be able to see where you died, right? So to have died near the end of the level, you would have had to have drowned because that's the only hazard towards the end of the level. But you don't look like you've drowned. So I'm now like walking around as Ben trying to like make myself look like I've drowned, so I've got to paint myself blue and like have some it's weird, really weird, and I really like it.
Yeah, it does sound fucking good.
It's properly interesting. It does, like, I mentioned it's strange at first. The first section you're running around as Dan doing platforming, jumping around, hitting switches, etc. And then you switch to Ben, it's like, oh, he's quite slow actually. This could get a bit old. And then 20 minutes in, they get, Dan gets the ability to carry Ben around, and you're like, yes, of course. Like that's like just as that was getting a bit much, they fix it. So that's really smart. And now I'm in this section where they're actually like completely separate. And it's just it's great, really good, really like it. I think I'm just going to sort of continue chipping away at it. What else? So I've been playing some more VR stuff. So I played a lot more GORN this week, and I streamed a bit of it. This is the sort of gladiatorial arena one. God, it gets weird later on. You just like, so it's pretty standard to begin with. It's like, oh, here's a sword, here's a shield, here's a mace. Typical sort of melee weapons. And then later on, there's a whole section where it just replaces your hands with crab claws.
Oh God!
And you have to like, you'll be like pinching someone's head, and then grabbing them by the shoulder and ripping their head off and throwing. And it's nuts. It's like, having played a bit more of it, there's lots of really clever touches with it. It's one of those that's easy to look at, and it's like, oh yeah, it's just like a dumb, like, slashing people up game that looks fun. But there's loads of little quirks. We've been talking on the show recently about games where, as you are dying, if you get a kill in, it revives you. Does that, yeah. Which is quite good. I've noticed that, like, if you like effectively like parry, like someone attacks you and you manage to block it, you get like a second or so of slow-mo, so you can properly stab someone in the eye or whatever. It's proper good fun. It's like £7. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, have a look at the stream on YouTube or whatever. Although frustratingly, I couldn't get the chat working, Matt. That was upsetting. So I couldn't.
Yeah, did you find out why?
No, I literally can't.
Because Matt blocks everyone. Was that not the case?
No, it's a weird technical issue, and loads of people have been having it for years. They're like literally like same as me. It's like, oh well, it worked yesterday, and now I've gone back and it's not working anymore. That was annoying because it meant I couldn't really chat with people.
Although that thing I mentioned to you, like the new OS update, they've actually it feels like they're actually incorporating that sort of stuff into the new Quest update, where you can have a window like pinned
on your wrist
somewhere. So it feels like they're trying to. No, it's not that one I told you about. It's like, I think it's actually a part of like the UI somehow.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Yeah,
they might do it. So
it just wasn't having it anyway. So hopefully we can get that sorted. I mean, we haven't decided who's going to stream Alex, have we, Matt?
I don't think it'd be me. I mean, I think it's more. I mean, like your system can actually handle it. I've only got the one PC, so I don't think I can do it.
And it's probably for the best because I know, Matt, you wanted to you want the atmosphere, whereas I'm like.
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah, whereas I'm quite happy to be sort of distracted by chatting with people at the same time because it will freak me the fuck out otherwise. Do you know, I was all right with Alex. You know, like David said, like, fuck me, have you seen the footage? I'd seen a bit and it seemed like creepy, but okay. And then I saw, it was like an article or something. It's like, oh yeah, you have to pull head crabs off your face. Ugh, fuck that. So I think just having a little chat window at the side with people laughing at me will probably help a bit. The other thing I've played is Blade and Sorcery. So I picked this up. This is another VR one. This was I picked this up because it on Steam it was like the second most popular VR game of all time, just behind Beat Saber. So I was like, right, it's probably quite good then. And yeah, watched there's like a trailer for it, and it's just like it's a cool sort of medieval sort of melee combat thing. I believe there is magic in it as well, as per the title. I couldn't figure out how to use it yet. I'll say now, I did get a refund on this because I had a very enjoyable 45 minutes with it, and that was kind of it. It's early access, and it really is. It's very bare bones. They've obviously spent a lot of time on getting the fighting engine right. But then basically all you can do is spawn in one of 4 locations and then just spawn waves of enemies to come at you and fight them. And that's it so far. But the way the sword fighting and stuff works is pretty fascinating. The fact that when you get onto the harder opponents and you're swinging at them and stuff, and they're dodging and blocking your hits really well, which obviously, in most games, every attack is bound to a button, and the game knows what. But like Street Fighter, the game knows if you've done a low kick or a standing punch or whatever, and it knows where the attack is going to land, right? But with this, it's just you flailing your fucking arms about. So the fact that if you thrust at someone, they bring the shield up, or if you try and go for an overhead swing, they'd dodge backwards out of the way. That's insane. That it's reading your hands well enough. Right, to figure that,
that's crazy.
It's really good and really convincing, but it's almost realistic to the point that it's a little bit disturbing after a bit. There was one bit I got really good. So I had an axe in my right hand, and then in my left hand I had a dagger, and I realised if you want, you can hold the weapons underhand as well as over. So So basically what I was doing is I was just going up to people, using the axe to just hook the shield out of the way and just stabbing them in the eye. But they're right in front of you as you're doing it, and you're just oh, this is a bit much actually. And because I got so good at doing it, it was just hook, stab, and bit weird after a while. So yeah.
Did you feel better afterwards though?
No, I felt really weird. I was sort of and if this is all I can do in it for now until I think there's a massive update they're working on that's going to add a load of stuff, and I'll probably rebuy it at some point. But I was kind of if this is kind of it, I'll have my £15 back, which I hardly ever do. So yeah, loads of potential there, but it's still quite bare bones. But what is there is really promising. That's about it for me. Oh, I played more Mario Odyssey. I got the 500 Moons, and then.
Oh, are you going to stream your?
I mean,
challenge?
I had a quick go at it, and I was all right up until the bit where it's it's the waves, and you jumping over, jumping on them on the lava.
Yeah,
is there an act to it? Okay,
there's an act. Oh god, yeah. And when you work it out, you're like, oh my god, yes, this is genius.
Oh, what, give me as in the metal, the metal. Oh yeah, that bit's easy.
All right,
don't spoil him.
Let's not talk about Super Metroid, yeah? Come on.
Which glitch did you use at that point, Matt?
That's the easy bit. It was the wall bit that did mine.
But yeah, I'm tempted to stream that. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, stream it, and all I'll tell you, Sean, is just keep at it, because it is really challenging at first, but it's one of the most satisfying things ever, because you slowly start realising what you're supposed to do. Fuck off, Matt. And then when things do click, you're like, oh my god, this isn't as hard as I thought it was initially. You just work stuff out. Just keep bashing your
I was a
head
bit
against
like,
it.
are there any checkpoints in it? Oh, fucking
No.
hell, man. Okay.
No.
All right.
And I will say it is well worth defeating that.
Oh,
thing
really?
At the start.
That
there's an enemy
that was
right at the
getting
start.
boring doing that every time.
Yeah, but you get used to it.
Is it worth? I was just running past that.
No, you get free free hearts from it, don't you?
I was just running past it.
Yeah, I know. Well, all right, whatever.
Nice. Yeah, cool.
I just ran past it and I still finished it. Yeah, but you cheated.
I didn't. I did a backflip. I did a backflip. That's not a cheat.
All right.
Okay.
That's quite literally part of the moveset.
You literally missed part of the whole level. So
no, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I did. I went on a. It doesn't matter.
Still on your plate.
Okay.
We'll talk to it. We'll talk when Sean has done it or not done it.
Anyway, Matt, you've got a game that I'm excited to hear about. You've got Ori and the Will of the Wisps written down in front of me. So tell us about that. A new game.
A new game. I've only played like a couple of hours, unfortunately. So the first one, I also only played about a couple of hours or so, and I stopped playing it because something else came out. So story-wise, I can't really comment, although I believe this game starts directly after the end of the first one. It's got the same absolutely gorgeous presentation. This game is stunning throughout, and I haven't even played it on 4K. I've just been playing it on like 1440p on my X. But yeah, it looks absolutely stunning. I'm still obviously very much at the beginning of the game. I mean, I've read a lot of people this week saying that it's a fantastic game, but they've been hampered massively with the technical issues. I haven't had any, but I'm only like 2 hours in, so. Maybe that increases.
Would you not be tempted to
has already
try
been...
it on your PC instead? Would that be any better?
I haven't tried it on PC. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I could do it, but so far anyway, for me, I haven't had any issues. The only issue I've had is that there was a chase sequence early on, and I believe there's actually lots of chase sequences. So I'm not happy about that at all. But for what I played, it just looks absolutely beautiful. Like absolutely stunning, like the sort of the vibrant lighting, and again, I'm not even playing this in HDR. It looks amazing, but I'm so early on, I can't really massively comment, sadly. But I'm
you find it difficult because like the original one was really difficult. I'm hearing similar things about this.
I mean, in the first 2 hours, no, like basically. It's okay. It's not a spoiler because it's in the first like couple of hours. Basically, there is like a boss, and I was like, "Oh, great! You're doing this to me, are you? Like you're throwing a boss in? There's like no way to defend myself." But there's that you find out that you don't really need to deal with that so much. And I'm like, okay, fine. So what it was, I thought this game was just going to literally chuck me into like a Dark Souls style boss immediately, but that wasn't the case, thankfully. And no, I mean, I haven't found that hard. But again, I'm only 2 hours in. Like the platforming is rock solid. You know exactly when you're gonna, how far to jump, where you're gonna land. There's no woolliness in terms of the combat or in terms of the platforming at all. And it's just a joy to be in. Like the characters I've engaged with so far are great and nicely written. The music's stunning. It looks great. I'm really excited to see where it goes. I mean, I really actually wanted Sean and James players because obviously I've heard a lot of Hollow Knight influences apparently in this game.
Well, tell the devs. Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, I know the devs been on reset and sort of moaned at that, but I've heard on other podcasts and stuff. There's a lot of influence, or at least a lot of very similar gameplay mechanics and elements to Hollow Knight. So I'm really interested to see what Sean and James see about it if and when they play it. But I don't have that sort of reference point because I haven't played Hollow Knight. But I'm really excited to get back to it because I've heard basically it's harder, but it's still fair. It's basically expanded massively compared to the first one, and I'm excited to play more. So,
okay.
Sean and James, you have no interest in playing this?
No, I absolutely do. I want to play the first one first because I played a bit of it back in the day. Played through the incredibly sad intro sequence, and then and then just sort of wandered off because I'm an idiot. So I really want to do that first, but then I don't know how big a time commitment it is. So yeah, might be a while before I get around to Will of the Wisps, but we'll see.
This one has an equally sad intro, I will say.
Can't wait.
James, did you finish the original?
No, I've not played it. It's another one of those ones I know I should play, but I never got round to. And Maybe I will.
The thing I'm most intrigued about with Will of the Wisps, everyone's been talking about, it has this mechanic later on where you can get like another jump off like enemy projectiles or something. Apparently it's unbelievably good once you start getting the hang of it. So
fantastic. Yeah, so that came out, but then like other things have happened, and life in general.
Has anyone else to get too down again? Has anyone else felt like they've wasted a lot of time gawping at their phones this week because of the news and stuff?
Oh god, yeah. I'm like Apple sends you a report of how much you've been looking at your screen once a week. I'm fearing mine. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I listen to a lot of like news anyway, but it's like I'm watching a lot, and I've basically just been like exhausted. Not I mean, obviously I've been working or not working, work from home, but it's just like it's just so much happening at once. So you sort of, by the time I get home, I'm just exhausted after just having what would ordinarily be described as a standard day, but it's just so much happening in the world and the news. I'm like, oh god, I think I should probably just go to sleep. So I haven't played as much but I did actually play and finish. I finished last week, but I finished Black Mesa. And last week, I think I was. I felt like I was only like a level and a half or so, or 2 levels away from the end. And I thought I would get done really quickly, but it turns out that I was still like 2 or 3 hours away from the end, because like the penultimate chapter took me like 2 hours to get through. Not that it was particularly difficult. There were difficult parts, and more that it was just went on and on and on and on. But I will definitely say that the Zen parts of this game are a massive triumph. Like again, those chapters in the original Half-Life were slagged off, and people said they weren't great. And these are the parts of this game that the devs spend the most time rebuilding and making their own version of.
I'm totally confused. Wait, so you said you're saying that you're still playing this game?
No, I finished it.
Right, okay, but you said that last week.
Well, no, but I hadn't finished it last week. Last week I said I was in the penultimate chapter.
Oh, right, I thought last week you said you'd finished it. Okay.
No.
All right,
no, so last week I said I'm probably like a chapter or so away from the end, and last week I was like desperately trying to get the game done before, but I couldn't get it done in time.
Right, okay.
But no, but that penultimate chapter for me took like 2 or 3 hours. It felt like ages anyway. But yeah, but the Zen chapters are absolutely fantastic. Like this chapter, I was on for like 2 hours. There's loads of puzzles. You're basically exploring this massive sort of alien like cave, basically, with all these like conveyor belts, and you're trying to get up them and down them, and also defeating enemies along the way. And it's stunning, really. I'm so massively impressed with it. Like, obviously the original game came out in like 98, and it has been updated, and these bits are the bits which have been updated and rebuilt the most. But yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. Like it's such a different game compared to the opening chapters where you're you're in the laboratory, you're on the train, you're exploring that. But now when you're on the alien planet of Zen, it's just so different and amazing. I absolutely loved it. The end boss was brilliant, and it's just an utterly fantastic game. So yeah, I finished Black Mesa. I'm really happy to say that, and I'm gonna, if I find time, crack on my Half-Life 2 before Alex. But given we're only like 6 days away from that, I don't think that's going to happen now.
You did the 2 episodes when they come out, right?
Oh yeah. I played obviously 2 and episode 1 too. Maybe I could try to get episode 2 done before, but Animal Crossing's out this week, so who knows? Probably unlikely. I mean, Alex is out on Monday.
Is it Monday? I thought it was Tuesday.
It's insane.
Is it Monday?
Maybe. Oh, was it? Well, it's the 23rd. I'm very
Hold
sure.
on, Matt. You've booked a day off for it, so you better.
I've booked a Monday off, so I'll bloody hope it.
Yeah.
It is Monday 23rd. Yeah, good. Ooh, yeah, no, yeah. So it's out on Monday. It's crazy. But yeah, Black Mesa, fantastic, and that's about it for this week.
Okay, cool. James,
I've got very little because I'm still playing Murder by Numbers and also Yakuza 3. Murder by Numbers still continues to be very interesting and very good, although I still am not a huge fan of Picross. I just don't enjoy it very much. Like that sort of stuff. And it still doesn't feel as good as something like Phoenix Wright to me at all. Like, as in the stories, I don't think it's as interesting. But that's the thing.
But in last week's show, you were saying at least that you were appreciative of the parts where it went to a puzzle section. Is that not the case anymore?
I was. I've just got bored of it. I just don't. I would rather it was Sudoku. To be honest, I'd find that more interesting. I just don't like it. I mean, sometimes I even like because Chen really loves Picross. I mean, that's another reason why I bought her a Switch. Is because so she could play that, because she's a big fan of playing Picross. And
totally justified. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
definitely. Yeah.
Also Tetris. She likes that, and some of the old NES games. Yeah. But yeah, so
should have just got a Game Boy.
Yeah. So sometimes, but it doesn't play Animal Crossing. It won't ruin my game. So occasionally I just give her this and just say, look, can you do these ones for me, because I can't be bothered. It's I just don't like it. I just don't like the Picross mechanics that much, but the game is fine. But then I've also been playing Yakuza 3, which, I mean, I've complained about it a fair bit actually, I think, before, and then I got to a chapter, because I've got quite a bit further in now, and okay, things haven't really changed massively, but then they have revealed this new mechanic that's called Revelations, which is amazing. And what it is it's whereby, for some reason, Kiryu has got a blog where he's taking photos of things that happen in the city. And it's like events where, you'll suddenly see something, and he'll, look at it and go, huh? And then look at it, and then something will happen, and then he'll film it on his camera phone, which is a flip camera phone from the early 2000s or whatever. And then from looking at the picture, he will then devise a new move that you can use in battle. And it's just the way, I mean, I sent you the video of it. It's just the way that it's executed is just really funny. It looks great. It's
yeah, God, that video was fantastic.
Yeah, the first one is this old woman on a motorbike driving along the road, and then she sees a billboard poster of a movie star that she likes, and then and then you see her look around and then look at it and then hit a car, but then do a spin in the air and then land still without realising anything's happened and just going off. And then he sees that, and then he realises, oh, I can flip over somebody and then hit them or whatever, and it's stuff like that. And then he just blogs about it. He just sets up a blog and then does a blog entry. And it's, I mean, there's apparently there's lots of these throughout the game now. You come across them as you're going through the different cities and stuff. And that's what I'm really enjoying, because it felt like it was missing that kind of thing. In in the first sort of opening maybe 7 or 8 hours of the game, and now it feels like the slightly wacky stuff, which is, I think, really well judged, is starting to come around now, and I'm really enjoying it. But I've still got a long way to go. I'm only on chapter 5, I think, now, and I think it's chapter 4 was really long. It went on for a very, very for a long time, and it kept on, because what it is you're going, because you're staying in Okinawa with this orphanage that you're in charge of, and then you have to go back to Tokyo, and it keeps saying you need to get your flight back to Tokyo, but then things just keep happening that are oh, you should go back and do this, oh, you should go back and do that, and it's it makes you feel guilty if you don't do it, and then you just realise you've just wasted several hours, and it's which is not so great, but still good. I'm enjoying it, and I will obviously continue with it. But the Revelations, they're really good, and yeah.
I mean, where's this game going to rank in all the Yakuza games? Near the bottom, or?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm enjoying it probably more than I did 2 at the moment. Maybe, I mean, I'd say that I'm probably more enjoying it more than the Kiwami re-releases of 1 and 2. Actually, I think it's
really,
yeah,
okay.
I think so. I think the story is more interesting. I mean, there's that really great article online where they got some real life Yakuza to play the game and to see what they thought of it. Have you any of you seen this?
No, yeah,
that sounds amazing.
Because there's it's you can Google it online. There's
you can Google it online.
You can Google it. Fucking hell. Okay.
Do you want to continue?
Yes, please.
Sorry,
that was just a funny sentence. Carry on.
You can Google it online.
But no, they've got these people to play it and say what do you think of this? How realistic or whatever it is, and it's it turns.
No, come on, they weren't asking that.
No, they were.
There's no. How realistic is this?
Yeah, no, as in how realistic is of a depiction of the environment first of all, and then
have you got a blog?
Okay, go on. Who's next?
Professor mode.
Who did this video? Where can I find it online? I'm going to Google it online, but
just Google it, Matt.
No. But tell me who's done it. Who's done it? Is it Vice? Is it?
Do some research. Google it. I'm not telling you.
Was it? You're not going to tell me who the video is done by?
No, because you're being a prick.
James, that's pretty pathetic.
No, because he's
being a prick.
Yeah, he's being a prick. I'm not going to tell him.
At least tell me who did the video.
No. It's not a video anyway. It's an article. You weren't even listening to that. Just thinking about your next dig's going to be.
I'm not reading it. I'll watch it. I'm not going to read it. You know what? That should be a video. That'd be a great video. It's a shame. Real shame.
It's a good game.
Shame.
Dave,
who's next?
3, 2, 1. Matt. Okay. Should I talk Doom then?
Yes, please. Yes.
I want you to tell me nice things about this game because.
This is it, because you were texting me today saying I'm really not interested in this game. Should I be interested in this game? And I was like, save it. And I was totally with you. I mean, I think I was slightly concerned after what we played at EGX. It didn't feel right.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like the Doom that I fell in love with, that reboot. And it was introducing all that sort of traversal stuff with clinging onto walls and all that sort of shit. And I was thinking, where's this going? What is this adding? They clearly don't want it to be more of the same. They want to introduce some stuff. And they have done. They have introduced some stuff. But what an incredible game so far. I'm early on, 4 or 5 hours in, I think. And it feels like I'm early on. But I think a lot of that is because, my word, is it bastard hard straight away. I don't remember the first game ever getting this hard, let alone it like starting this difficult. But it's one of those annoying things. It's hard in a good way, to the point where, towards the end of the Doom relaunch, some of the kill areas were so intense that you really were scraping together with the last bit of health and chaining your moves to make sure that you can replenish your health. Because for those of you that haven't played it, the sort of big thing that game did was various different kills that you made resulted in different drops from enemies. So if you chainsawed them or whatever, you would get a load of health. If you did a glory kill, it would give you lots of health. If you did a chainsaw, it would give you your ammo back. Certain things like that. This game does exactly the same thing. And I mean, those intense moments from the end of the last Doom start in this game. So that feeling is there, right? So that excitement, the excellent combat, the beautiful way that the various different systems dictate, like you're always feeling like you're fighting on the fly, that you haven't got a tactical plan in your head, that you're literally just reacting to things that's happening on the screen. And it's so fast paced that you haven't got time to sit back and work things out. You've literally got to get your gun out and fucking shoot. Like that is your option. Here, the stuff that is added, some work, some don't. It adds a hell of a lot of perk systems in there, various different types of perks. And I haven't quite wrapped my head around it yet, because it chucks them all at you really early on. And you're like, okay, so I've got my gun, I can upgrade my gun, but there are 2 different upgrades that I can have with my gun at the same time that I can switch out. Okay, I've got that. But I've also got these perks that add various different benefits. They seem like a one and done. Pick a perk and you've got that on you at all time. But there's also a system of unlocking various different currencies that unlock different perks, and that's got another layer to it where you select a category within that perk. Not only that, it's got the perks are all grouped together, and if you unlock them all, you get an extra perk on top of that. And it's kind of like, okay, this is a little bit this is way more intense than all the stuff that you've got to sort of build a what they call it? What they call it? To build a build. Is that the right way of putting it?
Yeah.
To work on a build. There's various different ways of doing that, and I'm sure that will become more clear the further I get into the game. But right now, it is like, whoa, this is a lot of systems. But I'm convinced that's going to pan out well, so I'm okay with that. The traversal one is a real interesting thing. So early on, I'm at a point where I've got a double jump, but I've got a double dash as well. So I can jump in the air, jump again, but I can also dash, and you can dash left, right, forward and back. And so that sort of extends that even further. But you can also then grab onto poles and swing, and you can land on a wall, press the right stick, and then you're clinging onto that wall, and then you can climb around and stuff like that. Problem is that has sort of made them put in some platformy bits in between the combat areas, most of which are not really enjoyable, because you know what first-person platforming is like. It never feels quite right. It never does a good job of it. I think Destiny 2 does it quite well, but that's mainly because of the low gravity style jumping in that game.
Yeah, it's very floaty.
Very floaty. Yeah. You can position yourself really well, but with the fast-paced nature of Doom, it feels like I'm missing platforms because I'm overshooting, and it's just frustrating more than anything else.
Does that like really break up the flow of like whatever you're doing? Because
not really. You die a few times, get a little bit frustrated, but it's not to the point where it's destroying my enjoyment of the game at all. In fact, actually, some of them are okay. The majority of them are just a bit naff, but nothing to the point where I'm like, I don't want to play this no more. Like, there's not been that thought in my head at all. It's introduced a hub area, so you've got, what is it called? It's called the Kingdom of Doom, or the Realm of Doom, or whatever. It's essentially your spaceship that you're travelling to different realms from. But it is fucking massive and looks incredible, and there's loads of stuff to do in there. It's got a basement full of enemies that continuously respawn, so you can just try your weapons out and try different things out. Like, so I've just unlocked freeze bombs, freeze grenades, which freeze enemies and stuff. It would have been shit to just chuck me into the normal game, the normal main campaign, where I'm trying to learn how to use them on the fly. Whereas here, I can go downstairs and just see what they do, and then remember that in battle and then use them. But I'm really surprised, actually, James, because I was like you. I wasn't really looking forward to this. Not to the point where I knew I was always going to play it because I adored the relaunch.
Yeah.
But I just had my concerns, at the back of my head. There was nothing that really excited me about it. And I booted up the game, and the music kicked in, and the opening scene kicked in, and I was like, oh my God, I am in. Like, I feel so in already. And yeah, I mean, it kicked my ass a lot, but there was always at that moment where you're thinking in the back of your head, I can do this. I've just got to really go for it. I've just got to work things out and react to things better. And then when you do, the sense of satisfaction you get from it is unreal. Was there sniping in the relaunch? Is that a new thing?
I mean, if there was, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, well, it's kind of essential in this. So there are enemies. One of the best things they've done to the enemies is that they've made them kind of destructible and visually destructible, so you can blow bits off of them. It's like Soldier of Fortune. And some of the enemies have turrets on the back of their head, and their sort of main way of attacking you is to stay back and fire heavy weapons at you from a distance. But once you unlock the scope for your rifle, you could just like zoom in and pick off their turrets off the top of their heads. Then they try and come in for a scrap a little bit closer, but they're usually quite slow, and you can take them out quite easily. And that stuff's in there. I'm not 100% sure I like that yet, because it does kind of feel like bang, bang, run around, shoot everything, grab him, kill him, chainsaw him, quick, I need some armour, let's do this. To suddenly going, okay, now I've got to stop, get my scope out, zoom in, take a turret. It just slows that place down just a little bit. But then I do also like the fact that, there is that thing at the back of your mind where you're killing all these enemies that are rushing up to you as close as they can. But in the back of your head, at some point, you've got to get that scope out and take that dude's turret out, because it's going to fucking annihilate you if you stay still for too long. The traversal, though, going back to that, although that stuff for the platforming is not too great, when it starts introducing that stuff to the kill areas, that's when it clicks. That's when you go, that's why this is in that game. Double jumping, dashing onto a pole, swinging over and then falling into a portal, getting me out of trouble, is exactly why that stuff is in the game, because it feels fucking breathtaking when that comes together, and suddenly you've got that spare 2 or 3 seconds to readjust yourself and attack the enemies in the area. just beautifully done. It looks stunning, way better than the last game. Like the upgrade over the last game in terms of visuals is unreal. The last game wasn't on 360, was it? Was it just a new gen console?
Fuck, I don't know. I think it was just. Yeah, I think it was just. This gen,
I mean, Christ, it looks like a massive step up, and that may just be because I'm playing it on the X, so it's 4K. But the environments look incredible as well. I remember loving the music from the last game. The music in this is vastly improved. Like the opening section to this game gets the blood pumping like never before. And when you hear that music raise up, when you know that there's a lot of enemies about, it's just the music in these Doom games adds so much to the intensity, the whole tone of the full thing, and just the excitement. Like, it's such a good score. And they fucking nail it in this one.
It's interesting because with the last one, everyone played it and they're like, oh man, they must have got some metal band to do this. And it was like, hi, I'm Mick Gordon. I did it all. I'm not really a metal guy, to be honest. So he's obviously, you wouldn't have known that he wasn't a metal guy, but clearly he's learned more since.
Well, it's kind of, you can
exciting.
tell the more you play that this isn't really metal. This is synth metal, and it's so perfect. I mean, I wasn't expecting much from this, which always helps going into a game. But really, everything I've played has blown me away. There's been the odd moment of frustration, but that is totally overridden by the sense of achievement once you've done it. It looks class, plays class, sounds brilliant. You need to play this, James. If you like, I know that you like the last one.
Yeah, I really
so you'll
liked
love
it.
this.
Yeah. And but I just don't know what it is. I just haven't felt like
That sounded really sarcastic then.
Yeah, I really liked it.
No, I did.
I don't know why. You just sounded really sarcastic.
No, I did genuinely really like it.
Really good.
It was so good. No, but no, it was. I did really enjoy it, but as I said, I don't know why. I'm not feeling a desire to play this yet. But I will. It will happen at some point.
Do you think it's because I feel like I'm excited to play it, but I know exactly what to expect from it?
There is that.
Does that make sense? So I'm not like, oh my god, I can't fucking wait. It's like, no, it will be brilliant whenever I get round to it.
No, there's enough new stuff here that I think you don't really know, and the fact that it feels like it picks up where it left off, not in terms of story, visuals, or anything like that, because that's such a big step forward, but because of the new stuff that it's because of the difficulty and how those intense moments at the end of the last Doom, it just feels like you've just carried on from there. And that's the only concern. How hard does this get from here? If I'm struggling in the early levels, which I am in certain early areas, and what's it going to be like towards the end? Am I going to get to the point where that becomes frustrating?
What are you playing it on, Dave? What difficulty?
Just the default. Just the default. Yeah. So, whatever that is. I
have heard of people struggling even with it on easy.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. But I mean, obviously, if you're calibrated for normal, and then at least that's a step down you can take later on if you really have to. You know, whereas if you start on easy and you know, maybe you've not been trained up in the same way by the time you get to the end of the game.
Yeah, I'll see how it goes. But I've got no qualms in knocking the difficulty down if it improves my enjoyment of the game. So if it does get to a point where it's frustrating, I will knock it down and see how it goes.
Because I kind of feel like with Doom, though, it feels like that challenge is part of it. Like, in the sense of, because I got the adrenaline rush from the original game, from Doom 2016, from the fact that it was quite difficult in places, and you did, like you said, Dave, you feel like a sense of achievement when you've got through it. Whereas, you remember was it with Wolfenstein 2, the one that came out not so long ago, and everyone was just okay, just knock that down to easy because the combat's awful.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I didn't feel bad about knocking it down.
That's what I was going to say. It's like, having a difficult game like that, giving that sense of achievement, is not down to the difficulty itself. It's down to how good the combat is, and the combat here is incredible. So I mean, I'm very impressed. I've still got lots more to play, but I've loved every minute I've spent with it so far, and I've got no intention of slowing that down. I will go back to it quite a lot this week, and
So far, do you see it surpassing the 2016?
Well,
version?
that's an almost impossible question to answer, really, because the reason why I say that is that the reboot was such a huge surprise that you're not going to get that surprise with this game if you played the first one. In terms of side by side, yes, I would say that this is a better game. Definitely, it's way more fleshed out. There's way more to it. Are you going to get that same sense of, my God, this feels so fresh, while still feeling like the old games, like the essence of Doom? Are you going to get that? Probably not if you played the last game, because you know what to expect to some extent. So yeah, I think that's kind of lost. But I mean, yeah, there's stuff that it does add. I'm not too sure on the story yet. The story seems to be told to me through these pages that you collect throughout levels, and then there's an occasional cutscene or a character that you meet that talks to you, and it's not really doing much for me. But you know, the aggression of the what is he called? The Hellslayer or whatever his name is.
Doomslayer.
Yeah. The aggression behind that character is in this, and that is still as enjoyable now as it was in the last game. So yeah, quality stuff, really, really good. I'm not surprised to see so many high scores come out today for it. It's been picking up 8, 9s and 10s. I think the platforming stuff is not enough for me to say maybe this doesn't reach a level 10, but then so much to see. It really does feel that I've barely scratched the surface with it. And once I've wrapped my head around the perks and experienced some of the boss battles and stuff, maybe that'll improve things. But
yeah, I really need to play this. I played like a bit of the first level of 2016 Doom,
mate.
And then
go back, get it done.
I think, did you lend it to me, Dave, or I got it from someone?
I did, yeah.
I was like,
I lent it to you.
I played a bit, and I was like, something else was coming out, or I was interested at the time. My head wasn't in the right space, and I'm not excited for this, but everyone says it's just so good, and I've heard some people say it's like shooter of the year, and so I should probably just give it a bloody good go, and I know I'll probably love it.
I would start with the first one.
Does, but
yeah, play. It's on Game Pass.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, do it, man.
Isn't it on Game Pass?
So good. Yeah,
for sure.
Game Pass. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll give it.
Honestly, Matt,
I do want it.
The first one introduces you to that combat style. The combat style is so different to anything else out there at the moment. It really, really is. And it introduces you to that, and it's a lot easier. If you go into this, you'll struggle really early on, get frustrated, and probably not go back to it. Play the first one, because the first one is fucking fantastic. And
how long are these games?
I think I did the first one in roughly about 10 to 15. It's not a long game, is it?
Yeah, it's very intense though. It's not something you can put like 5 hours into.
You can't blast through it.
Some of them, like especially. Oh, do you reckon? Yeah. I was gonna say, like, especially later on, like say some of the kill rooms in it. It's like you do maybe a couple of them, and you're just like, I'm fucking knackered.
God, I streamed that game. I streamed the original Doom, and I had a moment on stream. It was one of the last big kill areas, and I was to the point where I died like 2 or 3 times in it. And then on my last attempt, I managed to get a BFG shot right as my health was at 1%. And if you get a BFG shot in that game, Matt, it means that you just, like, there's health items just drop everywhere. And I managed to just get that off right at the end, heal up, and then finish off everyone else. It was,
awesome.
Yeah, what a moment. What a game. So yeah, this seems to be improving on that, which I did not expect. I did not expect that at all. I thought it was either going to feel stale, or it was going to be a let's just do what that game did. But it feels like more than that. So yeah, can't wait to play more. I'll report back on that probably next week.
Cool.
I also played a couple of rounds of the Call of Duty Warzone. This is the free battle royale game that they released for Modern Warfare. It's strange, man, because the stuff that it's added is so interesting that should be celebrated, because it must be what's happened there.
Nothing.
What? Where?
I'm getting weird beeps in my head. All right, forget that. Sorry, Skype's playing up.
I mean, that could be a number of different things.
Yeah. So so the stuff that it's introduced, I mean, you've got to applaud it, because for me, anyway, personally, Battle Royale's getting very stale. I haven't mentioned it on the show because I didn't have much to say, but I've been playing a lot of Apex Legends here and there over the past 3 weeks.
I've gone back a little bit, but again, not enough to say anything about it really. But,
I mean, it's a very good game, but it's that concept of Battle Royale that I'm kind of like, okay, you either land and get killed, or you land and then you loot up for a bit and then you get killed. I haven't got the skill to get to the end of these games, so that does help. But right, so let me give you an example. One of the things that it does: when you die, you're not dead. Right? There's 2 ways your team can bring you back. You either so along with all the other loot, there's cash laid everywhere, and if you save up enough, you can buy a player back into the game. The second one is if you die, you get put into, I can't remember what it's called.
It's called the Gulag.
It's called the Gulag, that is what it's called, which is a map with just you and one other player that's died in that game, and it's a one-on-one fight. And when I was put in there...
That's such a great idea.
It is a great idea, but all this stuff is taking some of the intensity away from Battle Royale, right? Like, the whole point with Battle Royale is that once you're dead, you're out of the game. That is it. But giving you chances to come back kind of takes that sort of tension out of it. Like, you think about when the PUBG days, Matt, like how important your life felt in that game was part of the excitement.
It's massively tense. And
it's completely removes the tension knowing that there are various different ways that you can be brought back into the game. And maybe that's a good thing, because it needs to do something. These games need to do something different. If you're bringing out a Battle Royale game in 2020, you need to do something new. So, it's good that it's doing that. It's just a shame that we're losing some of what made these games so interesting in the first place. They've also got a real bad problem in this game with feedback. Like, again, you look at PUBG for the example, you know exactly how many players are left. You know exactly, how close you are to the end. And that all adds to the experience. Here, you don't get that feedback because players are coming back, and, that side of things changed. There's an alternative game mode where it's a little bit like the Dark Zone from The Division, where you run around an area, you load up on cash, and then you call down a helicopter, and then you've got to attach it to that helicopter. Really, the game mode sounds amazing, but when you play it, it's really like you're getting nothing out of it. Like I was saying, we were going, this is really cool. Yeah, we're gathering all this cash and we're fighting, we're having like big gun battles around a helipad. We've survived. Let's call down a chopper. We put our money on it. It flies off. You just think, yes, fucking hell, yeah, that felt great. But then I just turned around and said, okay, but where are we? Are we winning? Or are we losing? How many teams are there in this? Like,
aren't there also 150 players in this?
Apparently, yeah.
It's more than 100, isn't it?
Yeah, the 150. But, you don't really notice that when you're just running around collecting stuff.
Yeah, I guess it's like the core of what PUBG did, I guess, originally so well was, that you knew is 100 people, you knew it was going down to 0, it was, one life, that was it. And there was so much tension and excitement. And even, like, if the rest of your squad had died, like, you're all still, like, party chat, you were like, where are they, where are you? There's 4 left, 3 left. And there was, like, tension arising just from you knowing the rest of your party are listening to you and watching you play, but as if this kind of feels diluted. I mean, they've obviously done it to try and engage and try and create some excitement and new ways of playing, but it feels like it's kind of diluted the core essence of what these sort of Battle Royale games did so well. And
even saying that, on top of that, like, the Battle Royale thing is kind of fading for me. Like, that excitement is fading regardless. So not only are they sort of removing some of that tension and stuff, they're also like battling against fatigue of this style of game. And that's my personal fatigue, because obviously we still know that Fortnite and PUBG and even Blackout are still doing numbers. So it's worth a try. I'm not, like, Apex is out there, and I think whereas before I've always said, Blackout was my preferred Battle Royale game, and I stand by that. You know, you got to look at Apex and go, well, actually, the traversal, the stuff that adds is more of a benefit to that game style than what this does. So
if you had the choice between Blackout or this, what would you go for?
Blackout probably, because it's more straightforward.
More straightforward.
Yeah.
Can I just ask?
But this must do some things to improve upon that. No?
Not really. I mean, the map seems pretty cool. But there's no... I mean, the stuff that they've added, you know, that improve on what that does, ignoring the additional stuff, the stuff where they've tried to make improvements, is all stolen from other games. You know, like the ping system. But then that was in Blackout as well. So, it's kind of... I don't know. A Blackout felt more raw than this does.
Blackout at the time felt like such a good mixture between... It's kind of arcadey, but also it still had... It's basically like a refined version of PUBG. At least at the time, it felt like that. It felt like the great shooting of COD, which PUBG never quite felt as good shooting-wise, but it still had that tension, like the actual moment-to-moment combat, and like the little like scenario, little sort of skirmishes are brilliant because of the COD sort of combat model. But so I mean, at the time, I know we loved that. So you feel like that feels better, just because it's a bit more refined.
It does, yeah. Well, it's the response. You know where you are, and you know what your goal is. Whereas here, that goal is constantly shifting, and you know you don't know if these players are going to come back out of nowhere. You don't know really. You're not fighting against the ring either, because. Well, you are fighting against the ring, but doesn't feel as important. Like, if I get left behind and I'm struggling for my life, I know I've got an opportunity to come back anyway, so... Yeah,
Alright, so it might actually be easier. She's like, well, I'll tell you what, lads, I'll just die.
Yeah, I'll just die and then see if I could get into the gulag or whatever it is and come back.
Dave,
or just buy me out of it.
What are the team options in this, though? Like, you can play as a group, presumably, but what size groups are they?
I don't know. I've only played a few games. So we played 3 players, I think.
I bet it's 3. I bet it's 3
I think it's 4 because I think we had a teammate with us every time.
Okay.
Look, it's worth a try. It's free. It's 100 gig download, which is crazy because you've got to download the full game to play it. But I mean, it's worth giving it a go for sure.
I mean, is this them just admitting that they sort of fucked it by charging money for Black Ops 4?
No. I think this was always the plan.
Yeah. No, just because obviously it's like Black Ops 4 came out and was really good, and then Apex came out, and it was sort of between Apex and Fortnite, it was like, nah, these games are free, mate. You can't. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's a response to that, but I think this was always the plan from the first time they started it.
I mean, it certainly sounds different enough to Black Ops that it's like they've really considered like what they can do with it. It's not like they've just taken out the Battle Royale mode from Black Ops and made it free.
You mean Blackout?
Sorry, yeah. So
they've tried to add to it. I just don't know if it's much of a benefit to that style of game.
It is 3 player.
Is it more a detriment to it?
I just had a look.
Right, gotcha.
Is it?
Yeah, 3 player. But today they've added solos. So
yeah, but James has got 3 mates he wants to play with, hasn't he? Yep. That's the thing.
It's always this way.
It's the Destiny problem.
You can all play solo now, James. You can all play solo.
Yeah, it's also the Apex problem as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same with that as well, yeah.
Oh well, if only they made games just for you.
If only they made games where you could play 4 people at the same time. It
sounds like that's just
no idea.
That's not happening anymore, is it? I mean, it's been a number of years now.
Just need to be less popular, James.
You need to lose a friend, James. Mate. That's the only thing you can do.
Hold a vote. Who are you going to get rid of?
I think we all know.
Yeah.
Go on.
Okay.
Okay.
Matt, you're going to take that.
And if they're listening, we're sorry.
Take that, Matt. Right, okay.
Cool.
Should we get on to emails?
Yeah, can do. Although before we do, breaking news, Jeff Keighley, our mate, has tweeted, so the Game Festival returns. I didn't know this was a thing, but whatever. So basically, they're dumping over 40 demos of games that were meant to be at GDC onto Steam tomorrow.
See that? Do you know? I was going to say they should do something like that for E3 or whatever. Yeah, it would be brilliant if they did something like that.
Yeah. So there's just going to be shitloads of games that you were meant to be able to play at GDC. There's just going to be loads of demos on Steam as of tomorrow. So that's interesting. Look forward to that.
I wonder how many of them will work on GeForce Now.
Emails. If you want to email us, podcast@thecomputergameshow.com. Rob RS says, "Hi lads, hearing James and Sean enthuse about Super Metroid's atmosphere made me wonder if any of you have played Exile, the BBC Micro/Amiga game that I feel is one of its obvious predecessors. And more generally, do you have any favourite games from the 8 and 16-bit home computers? Or are there classics from those machines that you feel you've missed out on? You often talk about Master System, SNES, etc. games, but less about the Speccy or Amiga. Personally, Sensible Soccer, Cannon Fodder, and Monkey Island would still be on my all-time list."
Oh, God. Sensible Soccer.
I'm totally with you there. I mean, those three on the Mega Drive were unbelievable. Yeah. Cannon Fodder's all-time.
Yeah. But not really. You know what I mean? Those games weren't like... Pac-Man was alright.
Pong was alright.
So I was a Commodore 64 kid. I
remember
I played a demo of Exile, and I can see the Metroid comparison in hindsight. Obviously, at the time, because I was literally 5 years old, I was just like, "What is this? What, you don't shoot things? There's nothing happening. What's going on?" And because it was a bit freeform as well, the brain just couldn't handle it. It might be an interesting one to go back to at some point, I suppose. It was 1988 that came out. So actually, I was 3 when it came out.
Oh,
and then it must have been.
Actually, you were -6.
Yeah,
I was 14. I'm joking.
He was 27.
In terms of favourite games from computers of that era,
River Raid. Remember River Raid?
What's that? No, never played
you
that.
You were
what was
like an aeroplane flying up a river. It was fucking brilliant. It was fucking brilliant, that game. That was a winner.
Fair dues.
Google it.
Go on Google.com.
Google it online.
Yeah. Google online. That's
I'm trying to think of games from back then that I would actually be like, yeah, sure, fuck it, I'm going to fire that up again, actually.
A lot of them weren't very good, were they? Is the problem.
Yeah. I'd really like to play Mayhem in Monsterland again on the C64. That was great. That came out as the C64 was basically done and dusted. And it was, like everyone talks about like the late PS2 era where it's like the machine had been out for 10 years and suddenly people were doing stuff that shouldn't have been possible with the hardware. That was Mayhem in Monsterland. That was it for the C64. Just a really good platform game. Really obvious like Sonic the Hedgehog influence, but really good game. There's probably loads of stuff on the C64 that I loved at the time, but I was a tiny child.
IK Plus on that?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's good.
Mate, fucking someone just did a note for note remake of that, but with online play.
I thought they had done that recently.
I think there was like a fan project.
Maybe
I don't
that's
think there
what
was
I'm
anything.
Yeah.
There was a GBA version, which was fine, but obviously no online. Great fighting game that. Just because it's all about like, there's not a huge amount of moves in it, but it's also all just about understanding those moves you do have and like spacing and timing and stuff.
Also, you could press a key on the keyboard and it made them drop their trousers.
Certainly did.
Funny.
Classic. Yeah, a lot of the sort of older PC stuff. So when I first got a PC around sort of 98, 99, that was when I first played like the original Monkey Island and stuff. So I had like years of stuff to catch up on and like Little Big Adventure and stuff like that. So I was quite late to a lot of that stuff, but
that was a golden era. I mean,
C64 is good.
My first PC I think we got when I was about 13, which would have been like around 93, 94. And there was so much good stuff. There was all like the X-Wing games. There was like Sam and Max, all that kind of stuff. It was brilliant. But I mean, in terms of 8-bit and 16-bit machines, I mean, we had. See, I only had consoles really, like the Master System. Although we did have a BBC Master from time to time because my dad was a teacher and he used to bring it home during the holidays. And we used to play games on that. It wasn't very good.
James reminds me of that Armando Iannucci character. No, was it Bob? He goes, the internet was in black and white back then.
Hugh.
Hugh, that's it. Yeah.
If you don't just switch it off and we'd all stand up and sing the national anthem.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, search Armando Iannucci Hugh on YouTube because they're all on there and they're fucking hilarious.
so good. I mean, the fun thing about talking about the Spectrum and the Commodore 64 is that they were home computers, but as far as we were concerned, they were just games machines, right? They were,
absolutely.
Technically, you should have been able to do all sorts with them, but it's no, games. That's all it's for.
Well, people got them, didn't they? Because it was the whole con, wasn't it? Of I'll do my homework on it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That'd be good for school, Mum. Yeah.
You get a printer with them where they had that paper with the holes down each side.
The dot matrix printers, which sound amazing.
It's before dot matrix.
No, dot matrix was the original printer tech, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if it was before that, but
no, they were definitely,
James would know.
They were definitely dot matrix printers, and they were awful.
When I was at university,
punch cards. That's the real deal.
When I think about old games I was massively into, I mean, like Lemmings at school. I mean, I'm not sure if that was on the BBC Micro, which I know it did come out on BBC Micro, but it probably was just the Amiga or the C64. But
I mean, I remember the C64 version of Lemmings was not.
It's not that old.
The C64 version of Lemmings was dire, if I remember correctly. Mainly because you had to control it with a joystick. Couldn't have a fucking mouse.
Fiendish Freddy's Big Topo fun. Right, okay.
Oh, that game gave me fucking nightmares.
Yeah, we've spoken about it before.
Yeah.
Good game, though.
Also, James, it did come out on Micro. It's called Lemmings. It was called Colony.
No, it's Colony, aka Lemmings. I'm looking that up as well. It's not a real one. So no.
Anyway, either way, when I was definitely in junior school, so I must have been 6 or 7. So that's 30 years ago. I was playing Lemmings. Yeah, I mean, again, me and Martin Day used to play Lemmings at lunchtime.
Wasn't Matt Morley?
No, I didn't. When did I meet Matt? No, I definitely met him till.
Is he a Facebook friend?
Yeah, I actually asked him for them pictures.
Oh, that's
I was going to say,
right.
does he know how many times he's come up on this show?
Almost certainly not. No.
He doesn't know he's a podcast legend.
Now. He's in the military now, and I said, "Hey Matt, do you have his pictures?" And he's like, "Well, I would, but I'm in a fucking war zone right now." So I thought, I'm not going to keep bugging you for pictures. I'm doing a stupid podcast.
That's fair. He's got other priorities.
Yeah.
Right, Mike says, "Hi chaps. In a moment of whiskey-fueled shopping at midnight on Friday, I finally picked up Celeste for the Switch. It's a game I've been interested in for a while, but I put off getting after the Super Meat Boy related Xbox controller death of 2012. I expected and received a hard-as-nails, ultra-precise puzzle platformer that, unlike Super Meat Boy, isn't causing me to rage or want to destroy things in my room. I think this is called growing up. What I didn't expect, however, was the story. If I'm honest, I didn't even know Celeste had a story, but after the first few chapters, side note, fuck the slime things in the resort, Madeline's story of anxiety, confusion, and self-determination is striking chords with me. I wasn't expecting to be pulled into such a personal narrative in a game like this. The story is pulling me through the game. When a puzzle room seems too much or I'm consistently failing to get that pixel-perfect dash, my desire to know why Madeline is climbing the mountain and what she's running from is keeping me going. Top podding as usual, keep up the good work, and well done to Farley for not destroying his headset during LA Noire.
Yeah, it handles that stuff beautifully, that game, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah, Celeste is so bloody good.
Because I remember, I know we sort of mentioned this before, but it was a while back, so I played it and I was like, the story's fine, whatever. And then about 6 months later, suffered from really bad anxiety due to sleep deprivation. Thanks, Isaac. And I remember we talked about it on the show, didn't we, Matt? And I think I said, it's about depression. You went, no, it's about anxiety. And I went, oh, fuck. Yes, it is. And it's just suddenly just sort of blossomed in my head. I was like, fuck, yes, I really accurately described how I was feeling and stuff, and
it's such a stunning game. I mean, not only as Mike says, it's got pixel perfect sort of platforming. It's incredibly tough at times, but the things it does with story as well. It just sort of interweaves it is peerless. Really, I think it's a fantastic game.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a incredibly hard game that wants you to do well at it, rather than
and it's that difficulty is so sort of core to the story as well.
Yeah, it's part of the theme. So well. Yeah, absolutely. Also, we got Chris Gorrod says, hello all. Firstly, forgive me if this has been asked before. I've just finished listening to Dark Calls and was wondering if either James or Dave, or Matt or Sean for that matter, have revisited or replayed Dark Souls. Listening to each episode has made me want to go back and replay it all as a completely different character class or type to what I did previously, e.g. magic or pyromancy. However, knowing how much time it takes, the complexity behind everything, and the desire to explore the lore in each area thoroughly, I just can't bring myself to do it. Do any of you have a game that brings about the same thoughts? One which you love, want to play again, but you just can't? I mean, I went back when the PS4 remastered one, whatever they called it, came out, and I did about half the game and went, you know what? I remember all this. It's fine. I don't need to put myself through the whole thing. I got to Anor Londo. And did I do Ornstein and Smoke? Possibly. Anyway, yeah, I was just like, do you know what?
There's no to rub it in. Sure.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I did it on my own. Yeah. No, I definitely summoned. Yeah, I don't know. Like, you'd be like if time is the issue, you would be surprised how quickly you can blast through it.
Yeah,
on the
it's
second
nuts,
run.
isn't it?
You don't realise how much of it you've internalised until you go back. But even so, I feel like that time would be better spent playing something new, probably. Anyone else?
Oh God, my one is Red Dead Redemption 2, and that literally is time. I would love to play through that again, and I played up to halfway through chapter 2, in a second playthrough of it. But it got to a point where it's like I can't spend my time playing a really long game that I've already played through. So so I sort of shelved that. But yeah, God, I'd love to play through that game again, because even like going through it from the start again, you notice so much more that it felt like rewarding to play through it again. But it didn't justify the amount of time I'd have to put into it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
totally.
fucking love that shit.
I mean, I think Dark Souls is mine. I mean, I love to go through, and like part of me does feel like I need to go back through. But I'd love to go back through those games again, but it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
I sometimes feel I'd like to re-experience like the Mass Effect trilogy again, but
I felt that a lot. Yeah.
But it'd be
do you reckon it's aged really? I mean, we know the first one hasn't aged brilliantly in terms of the combat, but even the second and third, do you reckon in terms of story and stuff?
I reckon they'll still be pretty good. And I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
I bet you'd appreciate the third one a little bit more, because you haven't got that pressure and unknowing, and I think
you're not in that bubble, are you, of like the negativity.
Well, if you remember, while we were playing the third one, Sean, we absolutely adored it.
Yeah,
and in the ending,
the ending was all right.
Yeah, we didn't hate the ending either.
Which one?
Yeah.
The real one, or the one that they changed?
We played it before they modded it in. Yeah,
the original one. Yeah.
So we really didn't mind the ending that much, other than the whole Joker thing. But I mean, I think if we went through it again, we'd actually appreciate 3 way more. Like even though we did appreciate 3.
Yeah, but there was definitely baggage and expectations, and whereas now just playing it as is. And also, like, knowing that it was as good as it got as well. Like,
yeah, totally.
You know, like, if Andromeda had come out and been amazing, you might be like, well, 3 was great, but we've moved on. But we didn't, really. So,
Nope.
Yeah.
And we never will.
Nope. Dead. Maria Mendieta says, Dear TCGS crew, if you had to put together a gaming-themed birthday party for each other, what would it entail?
Oh, good one.
So Matt's is easy because he likes his old Sega arcade, so we just get him to Arcade Club.
We get into Arcade Club.
I mean, that'd be easy.
But live stream it on Twitch. A lot.
No, because I'd have to like. No. I think that would ruin it. I'd want to just enjoy the games without having to,
love it. You love it, Matt. Entertain the masses. Listen to it.
No. Sean's totally on the money there. Like just a day playing Sega Rally or Max GT or Daytona.
Yeah, man.
House of Dead. Lovely old job.
Good games.
For me, if I was doing Dave, obviously I'll do like a Rocket League themed one.
Yeah.
I want to have a game. Basically, it's essentially zorbing, but maybe like zorbing on water. So you have that sort of, but it's all like water polo, but you're in zorbing suits. I'm sure that's a thing probably somewhere.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
I mean, zorbing obviously just run down hills, but there must be like a football type game where maybe like 5-a-side, but in zorb suits.
But they do bubble football, don't they? Well, you put the big thing around you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do that. James just put him on an island with a bunch of animals that talk. Just stick him. All of us turn up in fancy dress as various different animals and go, oh, could you get me a...
No, that's too obvious. That's too obvious.
All right, go on then. But go on.
I mean, when I first saw this question, I said, the obvious one is Animal Crossing would be easy because that's like, if you're doing an actual birthday party for a child, for instance, Animal Crossing. But, for James, everyone comes dressed as their favourite fonts. We talk about our favourite typewriter. stories.
Good point.
You know, I'm going to come as Times New Roman.
Or
others are going to come as Comic Sans.
Yeah, that'd be me.
or Hatsune Miku private concert.
Here we go.
We'd love
There
that.
you
We
go,
can't
James.
afford her.
Happy birthday, James.
Probably cost a bomb.
Thanks, Sean.
Let him know. Let him know that there's some mods installed. Leave the room.
Fucking hell.
Or we can take James to like an actual Yakuza area,
Oh my God.
and then we
Get
could
him
get
that tattoo.
stabbed.
Sign him up.
Get him that
Yes, 7 dragons on the back.
tattoo. Yeah. For Sean's one, I mean, we could shrink him and put him in with an ant's nest and a gun.
What? Oh, okay, yeah. All right. So I was wondering where that was going.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
no,
went
that makes
somewhere,
sense.
boy. Don't you worry
Yeah,
about that.
that
It
was
went
good.
somewhere,
Yeah,
boy.
that'd be all right.
I was thinking we could all dress up as Bayonetta.
I mean,
that'd ruin it for him.
that could go badly.
Would it? Or would he have the best time of his
Yeah,
life?
no, it's either one or two things, isn't it? It's either instantly limp or spraying everywhere.
Yeah, I don't want to be there for the second one, so actually. But it's his birthday, let's treat him.
Yeah. Yeah, and as discussed, I can't really go out or do anything for my birthday. So yeah, if you could sort that out, lads, that'd be good.
Well, no, just have an online birthday. It's really cool, Sean.
An online, how does that work?
Skype in it.
Just go have a chat on Skype. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Next question.
That's it for the emails, mate.
Right, let's only do a couple of we're overrunning again. Jesus, these shows have been long recently. Also, because of all the news and everything that's going on, I've not slept for. Has anyone else been waking up in the night just to have a look? I've been
staying up too late, just refreshing
Staying
Twitter.
up too late,
and,
check,
yeah.
but not wake up in the night. Mostly because I go to bed really late anyway.
Matt, can I make a request? Can you
Hit
read
me.
out Johnny Bull's question, please?
Yeah, let's do that first.
Johnny Bullwat, JBoneDS on Twitter. When I was a kid, a lad I knew told me there was a cheat code on New Zealand Story on the Amiga. I spent about an hour that evening typing itchy arseholes into my computer before realising it was a cruel joke. What's the cruelest game-related joke you've ever played, Johnny?
Right, so I'm going to blow your mind here, Johnny Bull. That is a cheat for CJ's Elephant Antics on the Amiga, not for New Zealand Story. Famously, the New Zealand Story one was something like motherfucking Kiwi bastard or something. Which I don't know if that's really. Is that really?
No.
What, sorry?
No, that's not cool, is it?
No, not really.
No, there was something with Kiwi in it though, wasn't there? I remember that cheat.
No, yeah, that's yeah, New Zealand Story. That was it. But yeah, Itchy Arseholes was CJ's Elephant Antics, and on the C64, I think it was Hairy Arseholes instead, because I remember my dad had to type it in for us because I was 5 years old. So there you go. It wasn't a cruel joke. He probably just got the wrong game.
Life, Johnny Ball's been like, hell, I've been mugged off. Actually, it was just a different game.
Yeah, your mate's just an idiot. Just got the games mixed up.
I don't think anyone played a prank on me like gaming related like that. I haven't got one of those. I got told about what was it, Mighty Ducks? Is it Mighty Ducks or is that the ice hockey team?
I mean, there's there's
Dynamite Ducks.
Yeah.
I remember being told about if you put a cheat code in, the lady at the start has her boobs out.
Amazing.
But that was correct. Could you imagine that these days? Back then it was like, get the pixelated boobs out. It's just weird.
Yeah, the nude code got Tomb Raider and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was fake.
It was fake, but obviously people modded it. And then even when they did, you were like, that's the least erotic thing I've ever seen.
That is
hot coffee
definitely
like
a triangle
San
boob.
Yeah.
James, you got anything for this, or are you asleep now?
I've got absolutely nothing for that.
No,
so,
okay.
Okay.
Thanks for you turning up.
Okay.
Hell.
Okay. I mean,
Can't all be
I
Sean.
think let's get into this next question, shall we? I know we covered it earlier, but I think there's a bit more discussion. Lee Hennigan, if the production of the PS5 Series X is delayed, as seems almost certain, do you think they'll pivot to streaming as Plan B? Theoretically, Microsoft could use xCloud to deliver Series X level performance to existing users without new hardware.
No way.
I think we'll
take the shine off it, wouldn't it?
Yep.
But okay, but discounting the question slightly, I think next gen will definitely 100% be delayed to next year now, which is mad because obviously Sony and Microsoft have their plans. They know, okay, in month 1 this plan they could talk about this and wait till month 3, do this and like press conference here and release date there. But essentially Microsoft and I think Sony have also confirmed their final specs. They've shown them now, but I really truly believe we're going to be waiting another year until we see.
Do they announce it tomorrow? That's the question.
Well, okay, they're going to show the architecture and like the technology, which I don't think that's the technology. The actual sort of the thinking behind the technology isn't going to change. But I wouldn't be surprised if 1, it gets delayed by a year. 2, I
wouldn't have said a year. Like they just launch it earlier next year.
You reckon? We reckon like sort of springtime.
But I think that's possible. But go back to my question: do they announce it tomorrow? Yes or no?
Do you announce what?
A delay.
The delay.
No.
No. It's too early for that.
Okay.
I think they will keep going. And showing technology and like the ethos behind the new platforms, but no, there's going to be no delay tomorrow. But I think the delay will happen. But what I'm saying is, I think also that in like 6 months or a year's time, we may also potentially have increased specs to the ones that we potentially been like relayed to already.
Do you reckon?
If we're losing 6 months, I wouldn't be surprised if they do somehow change things.
More work for them though.
Yeah, surely
they'd be seeking to avoid at this point.
Well, I don't think necessarily it does. I think they've shown their technology and like here's what you need to do. But if they need to like, increase something from, a storage capacity,
I suppose, or just clock speed of the CPU or whatever. I suppose that's not I don't know.
But then thinking about that, maybe that's not going to happen because ultimately that's going to rely on, logistics and actually getting materials. And if the whole thing is delayed, then they're not going to have those materials.
I was going to say, because I don't know enough about how this stuff gets made. Is the concern... Yeah, so is it already putting delays on production and stuff, or is it just that
I think production is that's a program, isn't it? It's getting the right parts in at the right time, and one part slipping because they can't supply.
Fucks it all up. Because this is why. I mean, James, you'll know better than me. This is why China's great for this stuff, isn't it? Right? Because basically, like Foxconn and what have you, just have like production facilities the size of an entire city, and all the parts are contained within. Whereas if you tried to do something similar in America, you'd be pulling parts from all different bits of the country, and all the logistics involved completely fuck it. But
they can
in
spin
China,
things
that's not
up
a problem.
like really quickly as well, and make changes really quickly because of other reasons.
Right.
It's less production, more just getting the actual like parts produced before production even begins.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, there's no way they'll be producing consoles now.
Yeah.
But they'll certainly be producing 1 million chips.
Yeah.
For those consoles.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, so I think it'll definitely be delayed to next year, which is again like this is such a mad year. Like everything is just out the window.
I text James earlier and say, could you imagine if I told you in December there'd be no E3? You'd probably think, okay, right, I could see that, but there'd be no Euros. What? Like that is
no Euros, no Olympics.
The Premier League's got cancelled.
Like
I thought the Olympics isn't the Olympics going ahead?
Don't know.
Apparently they're in talks about it now, aren't they?
Yeah, that will get delayed.
Did you see the tweet doing the rounds that like if it doesn't go ahead, then the Sonic and Mario at the Olympics game will be the only record.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
People would discover it and go, what?
But I guess just the other problem, and it's an even less comfortable thing to consider, is if it comes out in later this year, are there going to be too many people saying, well, I lost my fucking job and I can't pay my mortgage, so like if economically things have slowed down that much, people aren't going to be spending.
Definitely affect me.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's grim.
I mean, it will definitely get delayed to next year, whether it's like spring or much later. I think you're fully right about that. Sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously, some people are predicting, or there's some questions, asked about, will we have a recession, so on and so forth. I mean, this could be a much longer delay than just the delay of just the length of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
It could be huge. Anyway,
okay, right.
Did we answer the question?
Yes,
no.
we did. Sort of. Let's make this the last one because it is getting very, very late and.
Okay. What no. Not answering that question.
Or maybe just do the socials and then we're done.
One more.
Okay, here's an easy one. MD Grubuffs. Best and worst flavour ice cream?
Mint chocolate chip.
Ooh.
I'm a big fan of that.
No, that's my least favourite. for sure.
Yeah, I can't do it.
You see, mint chocolate chip, I would never order it, but when presented with it, it's always a good time. I don't know what my problem is with it.
Well, presented it when they say that this is it and there's nothing else.
Yeah, if it's just like you're
obviously I'll eat that.
You know, when you're around your mates and the mum's like, look, this is what's for pudding.
No, because I'm not 12. I'm not 12 years old. Sure.
Coffee flavoured one in the big white tubs you get.
Fucking hell,
that's wrong with you. Want.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. That's definitely the one that I wouldn't want. The one I would want is obviously it's chocolate fudge brownie. Ben & Jerry's.
Yeah, boy. Yeah.
I feel like I should be sick of it by now, but like salted caramel is always a good shout.
Yeah,
if there's like a toffee one.
Yeah, no, that is a good shout. Do you like the fish food Tom and Jerry's, Ben & Jerry's?
Tom and Jerry's.
No, I don't think I've had it.
It's
Come on.
No, that's up there. That's pretty good. It's not as good as the.
That's not the most common Ben and Tom and Jerry's.
It's not as good as the brownie one, but yeah, no, it's still up there. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with some sort of strawberry mess type thing. I mean, my favourite dessert is banoffee pie, so banoffee pie ice cream for sure.
That is.
Oh, good stuff.
I'm
actually, there's other questions. No, the same guy, MD Cross, but also what is the next big? This is all, but whatever. What is the next big thing after the Switch? For the Switch after Animal Crossing, which is a bloody good question.
Yeah, I was thinking that today. Actually,
the only thing I was going to say, Breath of the Wild 2 is the only one we know about, but then that could still be like a year and a half off. Yeah.
So when Animal Crossing comes out on Friday, that's it for confirmed big
first party
Switch games. Actual date.
There's Metroid as well, isn't there? But that's.
But there's also no date on that.
And that's mad. Plus, they had to restart it, didn't they?
Yeah. But that could mean it's going to be
Friday,
an excellent E3.
Maybe
Super Mario 3D Galaxy.
It's happening
about
delayed directs and stuff.
Nintendo will do like a Nintendo Direct that will be. I mean, even I won't be happy because they'll probably do a Nintendo Direct that's like 30 minutes of Animal Crossing, and then that'll be it. And
I mean, they're not going to do it now. The game's out on Friday.
They did that with they didn't do that with Smash Brothers, but they kept doing fucking directs of that, didn't they? I don't know if it was out.
They did.
A new character.
It's mad.
They did.
It's mad, but not going to know.
Super Mario 3D Galaxy. It's happening.
I'm sorry, what?
It's happening. It's going to come out. Nintendo Switch. Mark my words.
I hope you're right.
Mark my words. Where do you go?
That's it for tweets.
Where do you go from those games? We've done the world. We've done the land.
Done the galaxy.
Let's do it.
Let's go underground.
It works so well, wouldn't it? Could you imagine that isometric view of them running around a globe like that? It's just perfect.
Lovely.
Make it happen. Lovely. Right, okay. Matt, let's do some socials and get out of here.
Yeah, Friday, James. Do you do anything on Friday, James?
I'm thinking of starting it on Friday. Yeah.
Okay.
You're definitely starting it, or are you thinking of starting
it? Depending on if I set up everything, I'm going to try and do that on Thursday. So, yeah.
Okay,
I'll be doing it on Thursday,
James,
on Friday, definitely Friday.
Go on, James. You tell everyone about what you're thinking of doing.
All right, so what I'm going to do is so Animal Crossing comes out on Friday. I mean, obviously, I'm very aware of that's happening.
Very much aware. I mean, you and the other 3 Switch owners in the house.
We're all waiting for that unlock to happen. But I'm going to start doing a regular Animal Crossing stream, probably Tuesday to Friday. That will start at 9 o'clock. I mean, I thought with the whole virus situation, all that kind of thing, it might be quite nice to have somewhere to just play this for half an hour or whatever, or however long it's going to be. People can come visit if they want. They're not going to be my friends.
Spent a grand so that your family couldn't visit. Inviting strangers.
They're not going to be on the best friends list, so there's not going to be hacking, destroying my place. That's not going to happen. But just come and hang out in the chat or whatever, and just potter around. I think see how it goes.
That sounds really cool, man. I was going to say, if we're all fully locked in our own houses, I'll try and do a bit more streaming as well, because I think it's a nice. For sure. I mean, it's good for me to speak to people as well. Yeah. But I think it's a nice little lifeline and a place to hang out for people. So yeah.
Yeah, sure. So we're all going to try and do more streams for sure. I'm also streaming Super Metroid Sunday night from 8:30. So I'm excited to get back to that. But basically just follow us on Twitter at Computer Game Pod. And no doubt you'll see plenty more streams. If you've got Twitch Prime, please give us a free sub. We really appreciate it. We're on a Patreon, of course, patreon.com/TCGS. And as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're making all our previous Patreon bonus show podcast free for everyone now. You don't need to be a Patreon supporter to listen to them, everything apart from the current month's podcast.
And there is a reason for that. There's a
reason, but also it's felt fair for patrons, but there's also a reason. So
there's a fun secret in this one.
It's a full secret. Yeah. But basically go to our YouTube, just search TCGS on Twitter, on YouTube, and you will be able to listen to all our previous bonus shows, just to get you through these trying times we all try and deal with together.
How do we say that? How do we say this without making it sound shit? That's not going to be a regular thing. That's a one-off thing. Yeah.
No, it's not going to be free forever now, but that we just wanted to put something out there to help everyone get through these times, really. So, or as David said, it's not we forever. So just enjoy it while you can. computergameshow.com for everything else, and the Discord we've got as well. It's just go to our website. There's a link to the Discord. The Discord's been revamped and changed, and now there's some rules to agree to make sure you're a bloody good person that's going to I guess contribute to the community as a positive voice. I guess I can say that.
And if you don't, then we've got a list of rules we can point at and be like, look, this is what you've fucked up on. Get
out. The fuck out.
Yeah. But the Discord's brilliant, and particularly if you're feeling sort of lonely or isolated or anything in these shitty times where people are working from home or whatever's happening to you. So feel free to go over to our website. There's a link in the footer for the Discord. Go over there, join the Discord, and then we can all get through this stuff together.
Is that a new record for socials? That might be a new record for socials.
I think given
it's a special extenuating circumstances.
All right. Yeah. Okay. That's the excuse we're going with. We will catch you next week. I hope you're holding up well. We're thinking of you all. Thanks for living it. We'll catch you soon. Goodbye.
Cheers.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.